Hello everybody, this is me, TheCampingRusher, and welcome back to another episode of the Digcast. Boom, third try. Today we are joined by, not with Franknificent, but Jacktherippa. Jack, say hello.
Hey, everybody. It's Jack MC.
Jack MC,
Kidding.
good to have you here.
I'm
Okay,
kidding.
so I originally reached out to you after watching your reaction to the Jared interview, which I really enjoyed watching. It was cool to hear your perspective on things. And I hope we'll, see more of that in the next couple of hours. So one of
Oh,
the
yes.
last things I asked Jared in that podcast was who he respected the most on 2B2T, and he answered with you. So who do you
Wow.
respect on 2B2T? Is that feeling mutual? Do you
Ooh.
respect Jared, or
Um,
who do you look up to the most?
I've come to respect Jared a lot more in the last, year or two because he's grown up. He's matured a lot. He still plays his role as the menace, but overall, I guess I've always respected Pyrobite the most, just out of like everybody I've met, because Pyro had a sort of swagger to him. He knew how to be cordial. He knew how to shitpost. He knew how to be, cool. He could be like he spread his wealth a little bit. He obviously had access to like a lot of really interesting illegal items and other things throughout the years, and he would keep some things close to his chest, but he also knew to kind of like be cool with it, you know? He
Hmm.
wasn't he wasn't a jerk about it. He was awesome to get to know. He was a down to earth guy. He knew what he was doing. He was a hacker, but he wasn't like holier than thou. Pop Bob, Tristan, the people who don't end up forming Nerds Inc. They were very holier than thou because they knew how to do hacking and all sorts of other Java related exploits. And just Pyro he could walk the walk, talk the talk, but he wasn't high on himself. And I really admired that about him. And so yeah, that's why I would say he'd be the person I would say I respected the most.
Okay, that's really cool hearing you talk about Pyro, because obviously we're so used
Yeah.
to hearing him referred to as this fucking beyond human character. He's one of the characters in the fitmc show.
Right.
Is there anything that um about Pyrobite that's kind of not known by many people nowadays, simply because they didn't know him back then?
Oh, well, when we were all basing together Valkyria, Pyro would just like I have a bunch of screenshots of him just for no reason at all. He went into someone's house and it was made entirely of wool, and he lured a bunch of chickens in there, and he just started. I think he had an infinite chicken egg, because I didn't know about imps back then. I didn't know that those were a thing. And so I just remember seeing him in free cam. I was perusing around in free cam and I just saw him off in the distance. And he was just spamming chicken eggs, just filling someone's house with chicken eggs. And he would just do little weird, odd things like that. Like when people were I remember he made this giant bridge. It was out of stone and iron, and then he was gonna make ice as the surface, sort of like an asphalt layer, but it was of ice. This is before you could use boats
Oh,
on
okay,
ice.
right.
But I think there was a flying exploit where you could fly on the surface of ice and you could fly really fast in one direction. And so his goal was to make a bridge all the way back to spawn from Valkyria.
Oh
And
my
I was just
god.
like, that's a really cool idea, but that's also a really foolish idea. And he just sort of, I don't know, he just wanted to do something. I think he was restless. He was bored. He didn't really know how to like make good use of his time in Minecraft, but he was like, I want to do something awesome anyway. I don't know. Just Pyro had a sort of like innocence to him that I don't really think a lot of people have ever gotten a peek at, you know?
Yeah, he was human at the end of the
Yeah,
day,
he was human, exactly.
not just a fucking
And
character.
yeah, and that's the problem with a lot of the fitmc show type stuff is that 90% of the people you hear about are for the most part human, even if they do kind of have inhuman tendencies from time to time. Yeah, they're still human. Everybody is.
What do you think about 2B2T, especially more so back in the day, attracted those people that are maybe a bit more inhuman than the rest?
It's the fact that there were no rules to everything, and so people read that to mean no consequences either.
Hmm.
And I don't know, a lot of people who they want to push the envelope as considered today. They don't think about consequences. They didn't have something or someone in their lives to really like teach them properly, I guess is the right way to put it. They were not they didn't have boundaries in their lives. Like a lot of the really bad people who were really, really bad in the early days, like Pop Bob and Jared and Talo and so on. I don't get the feeling they had a really good family life. They were not they weren't taught well enough, and they would get high on themselves because suddenly they had power. And I don't think they had power over much of what their lives were like as they were younger. So when they were older and they're on 2B2T, well, they're able to make anyone's life hell if they wish to. And yeah, that kind of that's a bit of an indicator that, you know, people who don't have proper guidance, they do tend to kind of turn out bad, or they have the chance to turn out bad, but they can also not be bad. They can grow and change too.
They can have
like
the complete opposite effect, yeah.
Right, yeah, it can have the complete opposite effect, but I don't know, with Jared, he was bad for a long time and he's kind of pulled himself out of it. He's not so bad anymore. And yeah, there's something to that.
Okay. All right. So, I guess on the contrary to the first question I asked you, is there someone like you hate the most on 2B2T? Like someone that you kind of think, oh, 2B2T and maybe the world would be a better place if they were never born or they never joined the server? Anyone like that? Or are you mostly a positive person?
I would like to say I'm a positive person, but honestly, I think if Tristan never joined 2B2T, there's a lot of stuff that you can go back retroactively and you can look at his involvement with the server. And I don't know about the world as a whole, because I can't speak to
that
the
was a
world
bit
as
extreme.
whole.
Yeah,
but definitely if 2B2T had never seen the presence of Tristan, I think we'd all been a little bit better off.
Why do you say that? What's Tristan taken away from the enjoyment of everyone on the server?
Tristan like burned every bridge. Like I've never seen Tristan not be dysfunctional with someone. Tristan himself seems very dysfunctional because of the people in his life, and he met all of them through 2B2T, just about. I think he'd been a better person had he not ended up on 2B2T, had he not been influenced by those people. Like, I think just everybody would have been a lot better off had it just not gone that way. But
Okay.
I don't know. I can't say that for sure. That's my gut instinct.
Yeah.
You can't really know that for sure because it's just not how things ended up.
Sure.
But yeah, that's my opinion.
Okay. So like, because Tristan nowadays he interacts a bit with the community, and he's always. I mean, he's in like my group's Discord server. He speaks from time to time. Like he seems like a sort of chill. He doesn't seem like a fucking massive troll, right? But I mean, like, you know, because he's a grown ass man now. But you're saying that
Maybe, yeah.
You know, he's the same basically.
Well, now he was young, like Jared. He was only a few years older than Jared when he joined. So, like anyone who was under, I'd say, the age of 20 or so when they joined 2B2T, no matter what era they joined in, that's too young, in my opinion. You're too susceptible to the toxicity that just pervades 2B2T. And like when you're older, you can discern what's real and what's not far better than when you're younger and more, you know, influenceable, I guess. And obviously people grow and change as they get older. So I'm not going to like rule Tristan out as being incapable of changing and growing. But that I've not heard of much of anything of him changing.
Right. Well, I'm just trying to understand like what were Tristan's actual. I mean, I know because I've done a lot of 2B like history research over the years. But for someone that like doesn't know,
that hasn't, yeah.
like what's Tristan like done? Like what makes you feel so strongly about him? Like because of things he's actually done on the server.
Well, for starters, he sort of wormed his way into my group a little bit, and I was okay to accept him and have him in the group. But he was never part of the group.
Which
first
group
and
was this?
foremost, he was. Oh, the lands group with me,
Okay.
Silver Crown King, Zarviar, Exalted Spartan, Snacky North was in it for a while. Just, you know, the group who basically helped populate and build Space Valkyria.
Sure.
And you can't really trust someone who's not going to be a team player, who wants to be in the group but not be really like part of the group. You know what I mean?
Doesn't want to contribute.
Yeah, doesn't want to contribute, and he would always withhold things. Where Pyro, like I said, Pyro was he was secretive, but on occasion he would share things, and he was more down to earth. He would talk to you. I never got that from Tristan, never. And that lasted all the way up until he stabbed us all in the back and formed Nerds Inc. And he was willing to, I guess, own or run the server in whatever capacity that he was doing that, and the rest of us be damned. And it was just like,
So why
really
did he decide to grief the lands and spacevalk?
Supposedly, he says that he was kicked out of the lands. His bed was removed. Now, I don't know how that happened. I didn't have anything to do with that because I was playing at Space Valkyria. I hadn't played the land seriously since like 2014. So anything that happened in that time, like, I don't know who did what or why. I just know that at some point he was really distant from us, and he never really would give us he wouldn't tell us what was going on. He wouldn't be forthcoming about what he was involved with or who he was involved with. Just that I really kind of wish he hadn't wormed his way into my group the way that he had.
He must have taken a great amount of offense from someone destroying his bed, because that fucking grief and effort put into it.
But it's not like we couldn't have gotten him back there if he just asked. If he just said something. Because we had the bed TP active at that time. If he had just said, hey, Jack, my bed got separated from the lands. Like, could you help me? I'd have been like, sure, man. And then I would have let him and him only through. Although I don't know that he wouldn't have tried to use that against me at some point. But, we could have worked something out.
Also, the bed chain was organized by you. I thought it was...
No, it was organized by Zarviar. But, when Zar set up the beds... He told us all about it.
Right, so
all the base communicate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and I was under the impression that the bed chain was put there by Tristan and that as their means to get there. That's interesting.
Oh no! There were 2 bed chains.
Oh.
That did happen. You only had half the story. That did happen. Zar established the first bed chain once. I think it was Talo figured out this bed chain thing was a bug that could be exploited. And so Talo told Brennillan. Brennillan was in our group, so Brennillan leaked it to us. And so we set it up. Zar did the hard work of setting up the actual physical locations. And so there were a few outstanding members who had gotten separated from the lands. And so we were like, hey, come back, come this way, do this. And we worked really closely, and we got them all there. And there were a few people who joined freshly, and we were like, yeah, okay, we're all right with you coming. Yeah, come at this time, do this, go here. And everything worked out fine. And Tristan gets mad, and we're like, well, we don't know what happened or why, but again, all it would have had to take was just asking. Mm-hmm. And that didn't happen. I don't know why. I don't know. Tristan was getting very shifty because of King's Landing and later on KGB.
How does that tie into this?
Kinograd base.
Yeah.
So Clyde joins after a long time, and he gets invited to Kinograd base, and he gets invited to King's Landing, and it's Clyde and Tristan sort of messing with everybody. It just generates this huge amount of friction. We're like, okay, we you kids, because they're still I want to say they're 17 or 18 at this time. We're like, okay, you kids gotta chill the fuck out. You're making everybody upset. You're annoying everyone. Stop. And they just wouldn't. And so at that point, everybody was kind of okay, we really don't want Tristan and them involved, but we didn't want to kick them out. And then eventually King's Landing got griefed. I forget who did it. It basically came to a head. The drama came to a head.
Yeah. And
we were like, okay, that's enough. We're gonna settle a new base. One of you can come, but not the other. Which is it going to be? And somehow they both ended up getting invited again anyway. And the same dickish, childish antics started up again. And we were like, okay, you guys, you're causing trouble for everybody. And this is when they started really you could tell they had something. This is around the time that I started hearing that they wanted to grief the lands, or someone wanted to grief the lands. Turns out this was Jared and Talo and Pop Bob. They all wanted to grief the lands, and I'm like, okay, what the hell? tell your friends, because we knew Tristan and Clyde were friends with Pop Bob and them. Okay, tell them to chill out. Let's calm down here. And I knew that wasn't gonna happen. I knew they weren't gonna play nice, and sure enough, they didn't. And I want to say that the removal of Tristan's bed was like somebody was just trying to cut them off to prevent them from doing something, and it didn't end up happening. Like they made a second side bed chain, and they were very obviously dead set on getting there and griefing us. And
but so why didn't they just use your bed chain?
Because we removed
you removed
the
okay.
that final bed.
Right, yeah.
And the fitmc copy pasta is that Tristan told Pop Bob to log in and complete the bed chain.
Yeah.
But the bed chain that they told him to complete was a separate side bed chain that was secret to us because they needed cover of darkness so that nobody knew what they were doing and why.
Sure.
And that's basically what happened. They were covertly moving in such a way that we didn't know they were. We thought they would kind of been thwarted by this. They weren't. They were just working secretly, out to the side. And setting up those bed chains took a lot of time because you had to go to every
for sure
spot 8 times farther away. So you had to go like several 100,000 blocks out eventually to complete the final bed. And so, but the final leg of the journey was to go to the lands itself. Well, that's 4 million blocks out. So, but Pop Bob was already there on a secret alt. We knew he was there, but he didn't log in for a long, long time. And that was how that ended up happening. They got Pop Bob to be their final link in the bed chain, and all hell broke loose. And while everything was being griefed by Jared and Talo, I had every single person who was there witnessing everything say that Tristan was there just watching it all unfold. And I'm like, that's where we knew. That's how we knew that Tristan was no longer on our side.
Yeah, for sure.
He was just like, have at it, guys.
Yeah. I mean, but why would he be, to be fair? Because if you put yourself in his shoes for a sec, he's dicking around, right? But at the same time, when you have someone like that who doesn't contribute and just sticks around in a group, naturally the other members of the group start acting kind of like, they make snarky comments that a little bit toxic, and obviously that creates hostility between the person.
And that's what separates an adult from a child. The child will sulk and get mad and get incensed.
Yeah, for sure.
But an adult will say, hey, look, have I messed up? Do I need to do something? Do I, whatever? Like, what can I do, guys? Like, help me help you. Like, let's talk this out like rational people.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's the difference. He did not do that.
Which is weird from a 17-year-old, because,
I mean, I always got the impression that Tristan was somewhat intelligent and mature for his age.
Yeah.
And that's probably not changed. It's just physical intelligence and age maturity are two separate things from emotional intelligence.
Sure.
You have to be willing to work with other people, and you have to be willing to put your own ego aside. And I only ever saw ego from Tristan and Clyde, Pop Bob, Jared, all those people at that time during late 2015, early 2016. It was ego. It was very ego driven. And I never expected any more than that, because a lot of the older players were also very ego driven. But like, I don't know, you'd like to think someone you've sort of allowed into your group, you'd like to think they're a little bit better than that.
Do you reckon he joined with the is there any possibility he joined with the purpose of insiding and griefing, or do you think he wanted to be part of it in the beginning?
I don't know. I don't think I'll ever know, to be quite honest. I'd like to think it didn't start out that way, just because, like, he had the entire world, Tristan had the entire world in his hands at that time. When he joined us, it was late 2013, and he and Pyro had already gotten their little backdoor, the one that was used to spawn in player heads and command blocks and all that stuff. They already had access to everything under the sun. If they wanted to ruin everything, nothing was stopping them.
Yeah.
And they were happy to play nice for 3 entire years. So, like, something had to have changed, and I think it was just how people treated them. They were acting like dickish little children, and that rubbed everybody the wrong way, because King's Landing and KGB were very big community bases at that time. Literally everybody, Ormonger, Pop Bob, Sato 86, like people you wouldn't expect to be able to base with each other, they were allowed to kind of chill out in the same vicinity as each other. And the base was okay for a while, and it was definitely the dickish, childish antics of Tristan and Clyde that really kind of sealed the deal.
I mean, when you separate yourself from people like that by being dicks, and then you get bored, that's not a good combination.
Right, exactly.
You start to think,
exactly
what the fuck am I doing? Like, trying to be cool with these people. Yeah. Okay, well, that was really interesting to hear about. Since we're, like, kind of ended up there with, you know, being naughty on 2B2T, I gotta ask you, have you ever griefed a base?
Oh yeah, I've griefed a few bases.
Okay, well, can you anything in particular? Like,
I've only griefed 3 major bases that I can remember that are of any note personally.
Sure.
So the first thing I griefed was I had just gotten out of spawn. I'd already established a bed, so I was kind of getting some food and some items. This is like really, really early 2012, and I happened across this. I don't know, it was just this weird little collection of huts, but they called it a town. They named it, put it on signs everywhere. They called it 1.2 Launch Town because 1.2 was on the horizon and people were like happy. You know, they were anticipating a new update. Incidentally, 1.2 was the update that increased the world height for the very first time. So it was a doubling of the world height, which was unheard of at that point. And so I happened across in like the wee hours of the morning, American time, and I'm just like, oh my god, there's stuff here. These people had stacks of diamond, iron, and gold blocks. I'd never seen that much stuff in one place at that time, not legitimately.
Sure.
And they had food, they had all sorts of stuff that I hadn't seen, and I was like, I'm stealing everything that's not nailed down. You guys, why did you build this city, this little small town out in the middle? It was just out in the open. And to be fair, where the hell would you build it? You know, where would you realistically go? Like any base, anywhere is just going to be out in the open. But I didn't see it that way. I was new to 2B2T, and I was like, okay, well, griefing is a way of life. It's a rite of passage here. You know, you guys built a city, town, it was really more like a village. You guys built it out in the open. I gotta punish you. And looking back on that, I'm just like, that is so fucking cringy.
It's the cringy
Why did I think?
mentality.
Yeah, exactly. Why did I think that was something I needed to do? I could have stolen some items and been on my way and left a sign and been like, this is a cool little town, bye. But no, I had to, quote, teach them a lesson. And I don't know why I did that to this very day. And I'm just like, I probably wouldn't have done that now.
Yeah.
But again, I was brand new to 2B2T, so you can't really, like, fault me too badly.
So if I was Housemaster spectating you in your first ever days on the server, I would have thought Jacktherippa might be the next big griefer. Fuck.
No, that's not at all what he'd have thought, because everybody did stuff like that back then.
I suppose,
At least I think that's how everybody approached it. I only really had a handful of people's accounts telling me of what they did in the early days, so I can't really say that that's 100% true. Maybe there was more cooperation and getting along than they would lead you to believe. Because like I read Judge Holden's comic religiously back in the day, because I was so obsessed with seeing another group's internal workings, and they all got along swimmingly.
Yeah.
And they got hunted and griefed left and right, but everywhere they'd move to, they'd immediately take to the area like they knew the area the entire time. They were quick to do stuff, quick to build buildings, quick to, you know, set up and establish a civilization. They were happy amongst themselves. And like, that was an oddity, because that is not at all the type of lifestyle I saw on 2B2T. Everybody was out to get each other in the early days. They would all yell at obscenities at each other in chat, and I'm just like, okay, well, that's just how this place is. But then you'd have this comic, hand-drawn, IRL, hand-drawn by a guy who just like was trying to capture his earliest days on 2B2T in a meaningful way, and just he did a great job of it, because he got to show off a segment of his life that I really don't think a lot of people take advantage. Like, even myself, I didn't ever really take my early days on 2B2T as meaningful. I didn't save screenshots. All the log files from those days have long since been overwritten and gotten rid of. It just the early parts of my history that I would later on wish that I could remember more detail of, all that would just be lost to time. And Judge Holden is writing everything down and depicting it in comic book form by hand. I just thought that was so fucking cool. And like, I really kick myself now looking back that I didn't take more screenshots.
That's what everyone says, yeah.
Yeah, and do like, and take it more seriously and just be more diligent that I could have maybe, I don't know. Maybe there's more things that I could have known or more information like the chat logs, just to be able to save the chat logs from early 2B2T. God, I wish I could have done that.
Yeah.
And it's just so sad that didn't happen.
Yeah. That's the great thing about being a new, your time as a new player, because you're so naive to the server you're playing on. You kind of, like, you feel like this little fucking player in this massive, like, thing. There's countless things to explore. Nice.
Yeah. So that was the first major grief that I did. The second one was a while longer, way later. The second major grief I had was, I want to say, Ormonger's base in 2014.
Okay.
I didn't grief for like 2 years because I lived as a hermit out at the lands for most of that time, and that was 4 million something blocks out. So no, like, there was no real major griefing opportunities until Ormonger's, happened. And then everybody descended on Ormonger like a plague of locusts. We hated Ormonger.
Yeah, can you explain the hatred behind Ormonger for people that don't know?
I can't. That's the worst part of it. I can't tell you why we suddenly descended on Ormonger. So there was this guy named Javazan, okay, in early 2014. After the temp map of 2014, we all returned to the main map, and this new player named Javazan joins. And Javazan starts bragging about how he's going to destroy Passy Town, he's going to destroy NFE, he's going to destroy the Valley of Wheat, he's going to destroy all these big, because we kind of had, pride in these larger scale, what eventually would come to be known as monuments.
The sort of unwritten rule, don't grief monuments. Yeah.
And yeah, we didn't want. Now, Ormonger was a dead, silent, lived by himself hermit. No one knew who the fuck he was. Okay. And Javazan is being a pest, and we want to get rid of Javazan, and we want to stomp out any and all connections Javazan has to the server. And somehow, through the grapevine, I don't even know that this was true. Somehow, through the grapevine, we hear Ormonger is harboring Javazan. Fuck that guy. We gotta teach him a lesson. And so Pop Bob even Pop Bob was helping us at this time. That's how absurd this whole thing is, looking back on it. But in the heat of the moment, it seemed fine. So Pop Bob had gotten Ormonger's coords the same way that he had gotten everyone's coords in those days, through Thunderhack. And so we're just like, okay, give us his coords. And we get it, and we all make a plan to meet up at a time. I want to say this was one of 2B2T's first large-scale coordinated griefs. Because up until that point, you only had people like Pop Bob, X0XP, Jared, etc., who would just show up and ruin everything to the best of their ability and then move on to something else.
Yeah.
But no. This was like 17 to 20 different people. And we all afterward, we took a fucking screenshot of ourselves sitting there in front of the ruins.
First time that's happened.
We were proud of what we did. I've got the screenshots here, actually. And like, it was all organized by Pyro and XCC2 and other people. And we were just like, yeah, fuck Ormonger. And we dunked the fuck on him. Like, that poor guy, like, looking back, I feel so bad for him because he didn't provoke us. He was dead silent in chat. He didn't like all the bad words and stuff being said, but he kept his peace.
Is that not true about how he always used to lag the server?
No. The lagging part was a Tristan Clyde propaganda meme.
Oh, really?
That wasn't what happened.
I thought that was real. I thought he was a known lagger of the server.
No.
Oh, shit.
He was not. No. So we all descended on his base like a swarm of locusts, just absolutely annihilated it.
Oh,
and after that, we take a screenshot for posterity here. Let me see if I can't find it. Oh, it was June the 4th, 2014. Yeah. So this is a bunch of us. I'll drop it in the Discord here.
Sure, I'll put it on.
This is a bunch of us just chilling out. Here we are. And yeah, like we just all decided this was something we needed to do. And after that, oh, I got kicked for being AFK.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Just reconnect.
And after that, Warmonger took it personally. And to be fair,
well, not surprised.
I would too. Yes, to be fair, Warmonger took it personally, and yeah, I would too. And at that point, because we all took this screenshot here of all of us, you know, sitting there, he knew who we all were, because we all, you know, we all said who we all were. And so he's like, I'm going to go to every one of your bases and stashes. I'm going to find who all you are, and I'm going to stamp out your bigotry. And so Warmonger made it a point from that day on to be as big a pain in everybody's ass regarding, you know, stuff like that, the bad words and all that. And he made it a point to go around griefing every bit of bad shit that he could find, just all of it. And I think he's changed since then. He's from what James Russells has told me, he's calmed down a bit, but like, I don't know, like I'll never forget how he used to be, how he is now, because it's been it's been what 8 years.
Yeah, what was this, 2014?
Jesus, it's been 8. Yeah, 2014. Yeah. It's been 8 years since that day. So like, you know, people can change, obviously. I heard that he was kind of a little bit of a bit of a troublemaker politically. He was a very politically active kind of person, and nobody else gave a shit. And so in years of political turmoil, he kind of lost his mind. He was not a pleasant basemate to get along with, from what I understand. Oh, well, what can I mean, I can't do anything about that. By this time, he and a bunch of people had already migrated to Constantium. So I was just like, he's not in my backyard. I don't care.
Yeah.
But like looking back on it, I kind of do feel bad for griefing Warmonger, because he didn't do anything to deserve it. You know what I mean?
It was kind of just a meme that everyone bandwagoned on.
Yeah. Well, that was initially what happened, was that he took in Javazan. He was a Javazan ally, and that was wrong. And that was just flat out not the truth.
Just a lie.
Yeah, it was just a flat out lie.
But did people kind of realize that was a lie but thought it was funny anyway, or did people actually think that was true?
I'm sure it was something of a stretching of the truth. Nobody really was like 100% convinced, but like we kind of wanted someone or something to rally around, you know? And that happened to be destroying Warmonger's existence. And sadly, that was just how it was.
That's how the cookie crumbles.
And so, yeah. And so what ended up happening was this made Warmonger a huge threat. And we never really quite were rid of him until the nerds took over everything in 2016.
Yeah, I mean, the harassment lasted until fucking Operation Warmonger, right? That was 2016. That's when he finally quit.
And so, yeah, that was the second really big grief. Then in 2015, we griefed another Warmonger stash, because we were all still at odds with him.
Yeah.
And then after that, the last major grief I partook in was the griefing of imps. And that was when I went to imps to find illegal items and also an end portal, because by this time, by the end of 2015, we had the end dimension completely locked down. And so we wanted to find any end portals or any means that could be used to get to us and shut that shit down. And so that's what we were doing. We were out there to find stuff. Jared was just tearing the place to pieces. And we were like, okay, well, that's cool. And so we decided to also, you know, get dunk on Jared. And
yes. So can you kind of go more into detail about your part in the whole imp story? Like, how were you invited to the grief and stuff? Like, how did that all come about?
Jared was just griefing the place, and he said, "Hey, anybody who wants to join?" We all knew the chords because it was leaked, so by that
Okay.
time it didn't fucking matter. And we were like, "All right, that's the end of it. May as well go there to find
Yeah.
whatever crazy stuff we can find." And yeah, it's just
So you weren't friends with Jared or
but
anything. You knew that he was
we
just
were.
there'd be stuff
He
there.
was he was a little less mad with us. He had already griefed Spacevalk 1 by this time, and we were like, I don't really want Jared to get a victory here because of Spacevalk 1, but I don't really have anything necessarily against him. But let's just go there and mess with him anyway because he's busy griefing the place. Why not, really take advantage of it
Yeah.
and
Get cool shit.
yeah, get cool shit in the process. And we got a bunch of stacks of god apples and some other items. We got his journal. We got a bunch of stuff like
Yeah. So
that.
how did you find his journal and like his e-chest contents?
Oh, well, he was based in a little jungle biome nearby. And he just emptied out his ender chest to get more either stuff that he was looting from the base or to carry more TNT.
Right.
Because obviously no shulker boxes,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
your
yeah.
inventory base space was very limited. So that was probably just a means to facilitate more griefing. Because he and Frickin' were both there on two separate accounts. I assume full main body inventory plus the full inventory of your ender chest. That's what, like 4.5 shulker boxes worth of TNT in total. Like, that's all you're getting. That's still a lot, but that's all you're getting. You really had to make efficient use of your space, so that was what Jared was doing. And Silver Crown King and I went to Imps, and Jared was completely amicable to us because he was too busy griefing and blowing everything up. And I was just like, okay, well, that's cool. We'll poke around and see what we can find. We didn't make any overt threatening things to him. He thought we were there to help him. And again, we were there to ascertain illegal items, to find any, shenanigans or any obvious fuckery. Because by this time we were suspecting that Tristan and the Imps crew,
Had put a portal there.
Tristan was apparently way, way closer to the Imps crew than he was to us. And we were like, okay, that's sus. We want to go to the legendary Imp space. We want to see what the damage is. Are there illegal items there? Do they have a spawned in end portal? Do they, whatever? What exactly? We wanted to kind of unveil, the secrets of the server because we knew there was some suspicious, shifty things going on.
And what did you find?
But we didn't. We found. So Jared found all this stuff, not us. All this stuff was long since looted. By the time, actually, the funny bit is James Russell's Spartan 512 and Kane's Law made it to Imps in October of that year, well before Tristan and Jared had their falling out, and Jared was going to go there to grief. Well before any of that, they were digging a tunnel to go to the lands, and they just happened to accidentally find Imps along the way. And yeah, that was how that went. And they had secured a lot of legal shit. And eventually they burned a lot of it. So this is where enchanted glass comes from. What was another really interesting item? They had enchanted glass. I don't think they had too many really amazing things.
Not pig spawners?
No, pig spawners came from Kino Rana.
Oh.
I don't think they had too much else, in all honesty. That was about it. They definitely had lots and lots of like good items like god apples and things of that nature, but nothing super like illicit or like explain this, Tristan, like the barriers that I found at Tristan's stash. That was like super obviously illicit because it was an illegal item that was brand spanking
new. You couldn't
new.
obtain it before,
That you can't realistically explain. No. So obviously, yeah, that's the problem.
So can you sort of explain how you went from Imps, how you ended up at Tristan's stash? Because I know that's all kind of linked together.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So Tristan's stash, we find Jared's little thing out in the jungle biome. We steal all of his stuff, the journals, all that. Blow his stash up. That's the end of the Imps grief because imps was toast by the time we got there, let alone by the end of us griefing Jared's little stash. The TPS was like 1, and so we were basically invincible because you can't PvP using swords at 1 TPS. That just, you could, there were no ender crystals, there was no, there were TNT minecarts, but lag would make it impossible to use that. There was no realistic way to kill someone else at that point in time. And so we clean up imps. A few months pass. The lands falls due to the bed TP. And so Kane's Law approaches me and says, "Hey, Jack, you want to get revenge?" Because I felt really betrayed by Tristan, like, you know, just backstabbing us that way. I'm sure us going to imps and rummaging around there didn't help things because he probably thought we were going there to help Jared. It didn't matter because the imps was toast. Like, we were going there to see what there was to see. I mean, anything we intended to do was irrelevant because Jared was going to torch the place to the ground. That was just who Jared was at that point. And so, you know, when we get the lands destroyed, I'm sure that was part of Tristan's justification, but that ultimately, you know, I trusted him. We all trusted him. And it was obvious that they were up to no good. Something crazy was going on, but we weren't quite sure what that was. But we'd already lost our base. And it's at this point that I start getting promised by Branillan, one of my base mates, who trusts Tristan even after the lands grief, even after we have confirmation that Tristan was almost helping. And it's at this point I hear that, "Oh, don't worry, Jack. They can paste it back in." And I'm like, "What the hell do you mean they can put it back in? Like, what? Huh? How?" And it's at this point I find out that, yeah, they have total access to the server.
So someone actually told you?
Well, it's more of a obvious piece 2 and 2 together thing. I just thought they had another backdoor. I didn't know the scope of it. Just a backdoor of any caliber is the same. You know, it's an access. It's a power. Yeah, it's a power level that no one player should have, realistically. And it doesn't matter how. If it exists, it's a danger. It's a threat. And so I was like, okay, this cannot be. Tristan is obviously dirty in some fashion. And then Kane's Law approaches me and is like, "Hey, Jack, you want revenge? If so, I've got access to something really, really eye-opening. You need to see it." And I'm like, "Okay, what is it?" So we journey out there in the dead of night. And this is where we find the stash. And it's got bedrock. It's got barriers. It's got player heads. It's got all the stuff at it that I wouldn't expect you to just casually have. Because especially illegal items like barriers, well, that's not something, you know, that's too recent. There's a problem here. And eventually Yellowstone Joe went to the same area and analyzed it and found out that they also had, you know, newer world gen type stuff. And that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. And so we stole all the illegals, like the 32Ks.
Why did New World Gen mean anything?
Oh, because diorite, andesite, and granite were new.
Yeah, but like, why does that? Because does that just signify that they made the stash recently?
Yes,
okay,
it's too new.
Yeah,
it's too new. Their explanation was, and a lot of people may not know what their justification was. This is how they framed it on the Reddit. In late 2013, when Pyro and Tristan had their backdoor, they spawned in a bunch of items because back then you needed to use item IDs to do that. So they spawned in a bunch of items with IDs that didn't exist yet. And they stuck those in chests and left them alone. And so as the versions updated, those IDs were filled with new illegal items, including things like barriers. And I'm like, maybe that's possible. Maybe that's just, that sounds kind of, it's bullshit, but it sounds kind of like it's the best kind of bullshit. It could possibly be true, but you don't know. And even then I was like, I don't know if I believe you or not. And then Yellowstone Joe goes back to the stash site after it's already been griefed and stuff, and examines the rock formations in the area, and it's obvious. There's diorite, andesite, and granite generated all throughout everything. And also there's just bedrock that has been erased. Like, it's not as though there weren't bedrock erasing methods, but that Tristan would bother doing that. Tristan's too lazy. Tristan doesn't build. Like, no, I don't buy that. And it was painfully obvious at that point that they had access to some level. Again, we just thought it was a backdoor, but it was actually a much deeper level of access to the entire server. And that we were helpless to stop it.
And this is when Sato made his big Reddit post.
Yes. We were all trying to, blow it wide open because we thought, very foolishly, Housemaster would maybe step in and do something.
Why do you think he
Turns
didn't?
Turns out he was also kind of involved.
How was the Housemaster involved?
Well, I don't want to use that post by ZeroNeb recently, the one that went around, but I can attest that one of what ZeroNeb asserted that Tristan and George Bush 420, Housemaster, all of these people, they all know each other and they're all friends.
Yep.
Yeah, they are. They've always been friends. I can attest to that. They always talk to each other over Steam. They were always buddy-buddy with each other. And it just kind of seemed obvious looking back that, yeah, they had to. They had to have known about each other on some level or have been cool with each other on some level such that they could reasonably get away with backdooring the server to this level. And us raising a fuss on the Reddit succeeded in only getting accounts deleted, banned, silenced, etc. And no actual meaningful, progress being made to stop it or nip it in the bud or anything like that. And it seemed like a very dark time because it did genuinely seem like there was nothing anyone could do to stop them. And then about a month or two later, it all gets blown wide open in one of the most unforeseen ways possible. On June 1st, 2016, the world goes topsy-turvy and will never be the same again.
Okay, sure, but when did the backdoor access get revoked? Because obviously by the time Russia joined, they didn't have it anymore, right?
So there was some squabbling. Now, not by the time Russia joined. It was a little bit after that, around, I want to say, the time of the temp map of June 2016. There was a lot of rushing to both satisfy the older players, set up the queue system, get the hardware upgraded, because we were not ready to accept an influx of thousands of players. Oh my God, there were literally. I go to work one day at about 11 p.m., 11 a.m., something like that. Or 10 a.m. So I get up, I play on 2B2T for an hour or two before I go to work. And I'm like, okay, well, there's 3 people online. God, this is depressing. And I go to work, don't know anything about this. Come home, and there are thousands of people online. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, okay, well, I can remember in the past there were invasions of, famous website, famous YouTube channel, whoever, would feature 2B2T. I remember IGN featured 2B2T Spawn because it was an absolute hellhole. And that brought in a good 200 to 300 players. And I'm like, okay, well, this is just that, but on a bigger scale, but it'll peter out over time, right? Right?
Right. Yeah.
And obviously that didn't happen.
Yeah. Do you believe that the Camping Rusher was invited to the server?
There are 2 theories. One theory is that he was invited and that he did his little whatever because, I don't know, he wanted to. Another theory is that Mr. Mitch and Napkin of Truth saw an article that James Russell's... so James Russell's in the earlier part of the year and in the later part of 2015 was trying to get spotlight on 2B2T. And his heart was in the right place, but nobody liked it because nobody wanted an influx of new players to just show up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a double-edged sword. What can he do? And so James goes on to Rock, Paper, Shotgun and manages to get a hold of one of the article writers and says, hey, you know, let me take you on this tour of 2B2T. And he makes the Rock, Paper, Shotgun article, which I think you can read to this day. But nothing really initially came of it. And I was like, oh, whew, bullet dodged. No, the bullet hadn't even been fired. Because the going theory is, and I believe this theory is more realistic than any other theory of backroom deals and shady whatever. Like, no, realistically, why would a backroom deal have needed to occur between people who didn't know each other? People who had nothing to do with each other except by happenstance. And so the going theory is that Mr. Mitch and Napkin of Truth see the Rock, Paper, Shotgun article and tell the Camping Rusher, who, and I believe Fit when he says this, the Camping Rusher's channel at that time was dying. Absolutely necrotic. He was a 900,000, almost 1 million subscriber YouTube. And after he makes his video on 2B2T, only a few thousand people join. Like, yeah, for us, that's a nightmare because we're not ready to accept that level of player inundation. But you're a several 100,000 YouTube subscriber person and only a few thousand people are watching, such that only a few thousand people join. Like, he had to have had an audience of maybe 10,000. Out of the hundreds of thousands of people who were subbed to him, only maybe 10,000 were engaged. His channel was on the major decline, and so he was probably out looking for some crazy something or another, and boy did he find it, to reinvigorate his audience, and yeah, boy did he get it. And so he was like, you know, Housemaster, let me buy your server. And I don't know if that really went over too well. There are some conflicting accounts that the Camping Rusher did legitimately own the server for a while. It's probably true to some degree that Rusher had a big hand in how things were being done at that time. But by the end of 2016, Rusher's nowhere to be found. Rusher stopped making a Let's Play series by the end of 2016 because we lagged him. We lagged him every time he showed up. We lagged the server to 1.5 TPS, 1 TPS, half a TPS, 0.2 TPS. We made sure he was never going to have a fun time on 2B2T because we blamed him for bringing about the apocalypse. And yeah, he did. He did bring about the apocalypse.
So when you say the apocalypse, was the general consensus from the community that this was like the, you know,
Yes.
2B's going to shit, what the fuck, like this is disgusting, like this is awful, or was?
Oh yeah.
So it wasn't, because I asked Jared this and Jared was like, oh, people just thought it was a cool, fun time for a war and then it would die down.
Yeah, that attitude pervaded for maybe a month and a half.
Oh, okay.
About by the end of the fourth incursion, by the time the fourth incursion fell the fuck apart, because Fit was making videos and being a YouTuber and doing all that stuff, or trying to get started, and Offtopia accused Fit of selling one of Offtopia's bases out to try and basically get clicks and views. I don't think that was true, because a lot of people, because remember, thousands of players have joined 2B2T in the span of a month and a half. Just by law of averages, how they all evenly distribute out from spawn.
Shit's gonna get found, yeah.
Everything's gonna get found. Like, you saw the no-com heat map.
Yeah.
That was like from the day one of the Russia invasion to now. That's just how players are distributed. The base that Offtopia was mad about getting found was like 15 kilometers out from spawn.
Yeah,
20 kilometers.
That was fairly normal
like,
back then, yeah.
It was normal for the time in which it was founded, but anything under 100 kilometers post June 1st, 2016, what do you think is going to happen? Like, it was an inevitability. I remember going to my spawn farm shortly after the Camping Rusher stuff and going, ah, damn, yeah, I can't have a spawn farm anymore.
Yeah.
I can never have a spawn farm anymore. Just going for, I'd always, from the day I joined, to basically June 1st, 2016. I always knew I have my secret spawn farm in my back pocket. Should I ever get sent back to spawn? Should shit go sideways? Whatever. I know I will always have this one little area. And now I can never have that near spawn ever again. And I'm just like, yeah, that's just how it is because of the nature of how the server has changed. Damn. And I'm just like, how the hell have the rest of you, who have been, in some cases, playing longer than me, not figured that out? You can't have good things near spawn anymore. Like, the sheer number of people who made it their life's goal to annihilate the Valley of Wheat.
Yeah.
Should have been a wake-up call to so many people. Like, what do you think is going to happen? They are all eager, deathly eager to make a name for themselves, just like the TheCampingRusher did. Like, the number of dick riders who showed up to 2B2T after Rusher to do just that. Clout chase, to dick ride, to whatever. Like, how can you not see that coming?
But you guys have lagged the server. You've kicked the TheCampingRusher off. Surely things are going to go back to normal, no?
For a while, yes, because we had veteran queue. And then that gets taken away, and now it's everybody has to pay priority, or it's wait in line for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah, sure, but that's only a problem because of the people from Russia, and that's Russia stopped making videos.
I'm getting to that.
Okay,
and so for the first year after that, it's okay. The lingering popularity still kind of keeps it going, but it's okay. And then Ant Venom makes a video.
2018, yeah.
And then Fuse Twa makes a video.
All the while, fitmc's gone YouTuber mode.
And Fit is still going and making videos. And then I'm sure there are like 5 others that showed up that we spurged out about, but I don't remember their names anymore because by this time it was a conga line of YouTubers.
Yeah.
And definitively by 2019, first of all, Etika, and then the YouTube algorithm. By that time, the damage was so done, it didn't matter. If Fit had died out in 2018, wouldn't have mattered. Etika was still going to find this. The YouTube algorithm was still going to pick up stuff. Fit probably helped carry it along.
Oh, for
certainly,
sure, yeah.
But it's too late. By this point, it is so far too late. By 2018, it's too late. Because by 2018, you have Ant Venom making a video. When we thought things were going to calm down, Ant Venom makes a video, and we're like, And
Back to square
veteran Q is definitively gone. So that's our advantage over the new players. Obliterated. We now have seemingly an endless conga line of people making videos on 2B2T. And there's no real chance to keep the light of old school 2B2T burning.
Yeah.
They're
and
just
also,
realistic.
the veterans don't have a gear advantage anymore because like the 1111 dupe and stuff.
Yeah, dupes. And all this other stuff.
You're
like
all on the same page.
Yeah, it's too late now. There's no going back anymore. And here we are today. The only way you could make it go back now is if you had a hard line server administrator policy. So I guess this would have to be in secret so nobody knows about it. A hardline policy to keep 2B2T on 1.12 for like the next 7 years. To really, 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 really kill off the popularity. That's the only way I could see it having a chance.
But of course, that's not going to happen. Profit motive.
Profit will always be that motivation. So, at this point, I don't know.
Does this sadden you? Like, do you long for the olden days of 2B2T?
Yes, it saddens me. I can't do anything about it.
So what is it about 2B2T being a mainstream server that you don't like?
It's the erosion of the old school 4chan culture. That was what made 2B2T so cool. Because you had people who didn't give a fuck. Maybe they were a little more mature. Maybe they were insane. Maybe they were a mixture. Maybe they were all over the place. But 2B2T's size was never so much that you couldn't find some element of what 4chan had offered people. On 4chan, you can find people from all over the spectrum, both autistic and not autistic, people who are stable, people who are unstable, people who are somewhere in the middle. And it was the perfect narrow slice of that. You could find people who were cool, people who weren't cool, people you'd be neutral about. And with a server having bloated to hundreds and hundreds of players, you can't know who they are. You can never know who 90% of the player base is anymore. And that right there is, you can't have a culture with those people. You can't have anything in common with someone you don't know anything about. Maybe you would if you got to know them, but they're another face in the crowd now. How can you pick this one person out from that one person? Well, they both joined several months apart from each other. Yeah, so what? There are 50 billion other people who are just like them. How do you distinguish between anyone now? And that is the problem. You can't have a culture with anyone you can't know anything about. And the sheer size of your population, it grew too fast. It just grew too fast. With modern real world culture, it ballooned slowly over the many, many hundreds and thousands of years that cultures have existed. Notice how a lot of cultures have lived and died out too. But that you have some identity that you can kind of meaningfully meet with other people. But when you have a population explode wildly, you can't have much of anything in common with people like that. It doesn't matter. You can't know who they are because 50,000 people joining at the same time, there's nothing that readily distinguishes them from anyone else. You have people who kind of like sort of make a name for themselves and they'll form groups, they'll do all this stuff. And that's fine, but everybody else is doing that too. And you can't realistically make sense of who anyone is. You say
that, but those 50,000 people that joined because of Russia, there's only let's say a few, maybe no more than 50 that like actively are still like significant members of the community today. But they have their they're a community.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. That's what happened. The torch has now been passed on, so now they are 2B2T. And the old school players, the ones that everybody idolizes and wants to know more about and all this, our time has come and gone.
They're different.
That's
people.
really what it. Yeah, it's the difference between, well, the Earth is still the Earth, but the dinosaurs are gone.
You guys were playing 2B2T for different reasons than the community nowadays.
It can never go back now, and just like we'll never have the dinosaurs again, not at the same level that it was in prehistoric times. Like things have changed. Time has marched on. It never goes backward. The arrow only moves forward. And you have to accept that at some point.
So do you not think that instead of do you not think that instead of just being sad about that and looking back and thinking, oh, how times used to be so much more great, you can't look forward and be like, oh, well, 2B's constantly changing, so obviously 2B2T is gonna be enjoyable again at some point.
I could have if it had stayed up to date. It was the straw that broke the camel's back for me was that in 2020 I was found by the Turks, and it seemed like Spacevalk 3 was imminently going to be griefed again, and I was like, okay, I can start a new base. But then I looked over to my right and saw 1.16 and all the brand new shit that's coming out, and it looked pretty fucking dope, and I was like, I want to do that. That would breathe fresh air, new life into the game.
But you said just a minute ago that the only way the server could fix itself is that if it would stay on the same version for years.
Yes, exactly. It's paradoxical.
Is that not a server you'd be interested in playing on?
But that's 7 years down the line. That's 7 years of change of Minecraft versions that have to change. Can it realistically be done? I don't know. And so that's what I'm saying. For 2B2T to go back to how it was pre-Rusher, it has to basically do the impossible. That's my point.
Even the internet's changed.
Even the internet's changed, exactly. That's why I said it's like prehistoric Earth versus modern Earth. Even if we revive the dinosaurs, it'll never be like it was in prehistoric times. It can never be back that way. Time never goes backward. It only goes forward. You have to accept that. And so I've chosen to move on. And I guess a bunch of other people have too.
For sure. Okay, all right. Bro, I love the way you tell stories. You're really good at conveying your opinions and how shit went down. Because even when I try and explain stuff that I did a few years ago on 2B, I always kind of forget details and like forget things and don't convey it in a very good way. I have to really think about what I'm going to say and plan it. You seem to be very natural at that. So I guess we're going to have another example of that. You did mention briefly earlier when we were talking about imps and you wanting to find an end portal there, how you sort of shut down the end. So can you, I know fitmc's covered this in the video, and I'm sure maybe other people have too, but can you give us kind of the story of like how you shut down the end? Like what brought you to the end? Like what made you want to build spacevalk 1?
Yeah.
And then why did you decide, the only way to keep the space safe is to shut down the end?
Okay, so spacevalk 1. So I'm going to have to go back to 2012.
Sure, rewind.
spacevalk 1 was in 2015, but the roots begin in 2012.
Okay.
So I get on 2B2T for the first time, but it wasn't the only server I joined new. There was another server called Casual Comfy Guys. And so Casual Comfy Guys ended up becoming a faction server. And I wasn't happy with that, but I was all right. I went along with it for a while. And so I joined Casual Comfy Guys and make friends with some of the moderators there. Well, they all had world edit. And they liked what I did, and I was kind of starting to, find my footing as a builder. And they liked some of the stuff that I made. And so they offered to paste in my buildings every time a map was reset. And eventually, it just sort of dawned on me, to properly compete in the factions mess, you had to have good enchanted gear. Well, in early 2012, we were in 1.2. If you don't know anything about enchanting in 1.2, it's a bitch. You have to get 50 levels in a time where
50.
levels are very hard to come by. You had to stay alive on a faction server where everybody's out to kill you. And you had to reasonably have good gear. This very quickly, or you would sit hours and hours and hours in front of a zombie spawner or a skeleton spawner and grind levels that way. And I was like, fuck that, I don't want to do that. What are some good alternatives? And then I see the Enderman grinder. And I'm like, oh, that is an amazing XP farm. Hey, mod friend, how about we go into the depths of the end? You guys have world edit, and you paste in this design for an Enderman grinder. And I'm like, okay. Yeah, that's what we can do. And then I'm like, yeah, and we can set that as our faction base. But we'll be out 5 kilometers out of the void. Remember, nothing generated in the end back in those days. And I'm like, okay, we'll just be secret out here. Nobody needs to know. And then my mod friend, said something to me that I never forgot. Wow, Jack, I never realized how far out the end is. You could build a whole city out here and no one would know. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, he's right. Yeah. Maybe I should try that. And so on 2B2T, I do just that. I travel out to the end in early 2012, and I make an end base, and I'm like, hey, join me. And the alt migration happens at this time, and the alt migration basically stripped my mod friend of his account because, accounts were not everybody had a legitimate account.
Sure, Jared.
We'll just say it that way. Yeah, not everybody legitimately bought an account, and I ended up basically being stranded all alone on 2B2T with my own end base. And I'm like, this is actually really cool. And I started to kind of get, the noggin jogging about stuff that I wanted to make, about how I could live out there all by myself. And that's when I ended up, that's when the old end map on 2BGT get deleted. Housemaster hated it because it was illegal.
Was it?
And so, yes, the old end map was illegal. It was spawned in via
NFE, yeah.
Yeah. And so House just annihilated it. He was like, no. And I lost my first base to Housemaster. But I never forgot the feeling of having an end base. And I'm like, all I have to do is go out like a kilometer into the depths of the end. Because at this time, all the way up until early 2016, nothing generated out there.
And you had to bridge, right?
Yeah, you had to bridge. And so I was very diligent to bridge out and then break the bridge incrementally as I went so that nobody would fucking follow me. And I was very careful. and I managed to keep the base a secret. And then, of course, the base gets deleted out from under me. But I never forgot that. And so in 2013, after a year later of everybody bitching and moaning, house, re-enable the end, house, re-enable the end, he finally does it. And at that time, I get into the end and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to build me another end base. Every idiot on the server also had the same idea. And I was like, oh, okay, never mind. Bad idea. Everybody's out looking for them. We'll wait. We'll bide our time. And of course, by this time, I was living at the lands. And at this time, I really start finding my footing as a builder. And I build what is now known as the Sky Temple of Autism. And I'm really, really happy and really proud with how the Sky Temple of Autism turned out. And then we do Valkyria. And, you know, a new year rolls around. We grief Ormonger in 2014. We have a temp map in early 2014. And I'm like, okay, can I do an end base secretly and nobody mess with me? And I do an end map or an end base on the temp map of 2014. And I get found by accident by Talo112. And Talo's actually kind of cool with it. And he's like, hey, this is a cool idea. And he's like, can I join? And I'm like, well, you're standing on the platform I intend to build on, so I can't exactly say no.
Yeah.
And he's actually, because again, this is a temp map, everybody's cool. Nobody's really out to get each other because it's just a temp map. Nobody's that concerned about it. And the temp map comes and goes, and I'm like, okay, well, you know, maybe we can do an end base. And this is when the bedrock generation accidentally starts happening. If you've ever seen on 2BGT's end map, it's got a ton of bedrock just sort of at floor level, just sort of there. And this is the plugin. There was a faulty plugin that was trying to patch nether roof holes and nether floor holes that ended up also patching the end void. Well, obviously this was a bug. It eventually got reported and stopped, but that didn't stop people from making large, long land bridges out of bedrock, and they just went everywhere. And this started another trend of people making end bases, but this time on the bedrock. And I'm like, fuck, I guess we gotta wait.
That's so fucking easy to follow, though. God, like that's.
Yeah, exactly. That's why. But now the problem was when the bedrock was generating, if you updated a chunk, it would generate bedrock. So
Right.
you could not make a void-based end base. You had no choice but to base on the bedrock. But people didn't care because nobody was paying any attention to it. But I knew the moment the entire server is made aware that you can just generate bedrock trails, or that a bunch of idiots prior to now have generated bedrock trails, well, where do you think the first places that they're going to look are? And so I'm just like, okay, so there's no safe place yet. I'll bide my time. So another year rolls around, and we have Asgard 2 happen. And I'm like, okay, Asgard 2 ended in failure, but maybe we can scoop together enough of the people from Asgard 2 and sort of like, because everybody was upset with how Asgard 2 fell apart.
How did it fall apart?
It was inadvertently leaked by Pyrobyte.
Sure.
It was an accident, really. It was meant to be a psyop, and it ended up being real. And Ormonger got a hold of Asgard 2's coords, and we decided to voluntarily destroy the base because better we destroy it than Ormonger.
Yeah.
Not going to give him the glory. And so that's what triggers the third incursion. And Sato rounds everybody up for the third incursion, and I'm like, okay, well, that's cool and all, but everybody's going to be distracted with this incursion. What if now I go and build an end base? Would now be a good time. And sure enough, nobody's paying any attention to me. And I run out, into the depths at the end, and I just make this little small platform. I had a friend who actually unironically made an end base on the bedrock before in 2014. And he had all these items, villagers, cows, pigs, sheep, the works. All of it. Nobody went out there and touched any of that. It was only 1,500 blocks away from spawn, right on the bedrock. Nobody fucked with it. And I was like, dude, this is an amazing starting, foothold. And so I bridge out about 500-ish blocks away from that, and that's what becomes Space Valkyria 1. And I'm like, I remember what my mod friend said in 2012. I could build an entire city out here. Hey, you know what else was a giant city that had a bunch of people I really liked who were all disgruntled because they all just lost a base? Valkyria.
Oh, Valkyria.
Well, all the people who were at Valkyria were at Asgard too.
Oh, okay.
And they were all mad that Asgard 2 failed.
Right, yeah.
What if I just start a base just like Valkyria, but it becomes a giant city that everybody contributes and makes in the depths of the end where no one's going to go looking because it's just blank. Nothing's out there in the depths of the void, we swear. Hey, I could call it Valkyria, but no, I don't want to call it Valkyria 2 because we had Asgard 2, Fenrir 2. So I didn't want to do Valkyria and Valkyria 2. That seemed too cliche. Wait, the end looks like outer space. What if I called it Space Valkyria? And so I was like, yeah, I'm going to start inviting all the people who were at Valkyria, all the people I knew who were cool, who I could trust, people who were somewhat adept at building, invite them all out there. And progressively, one by one, I started doing that. And they were all too fucking afraid to do anything over the void because they knew I had a secret to building over the void that they did not have. And I thought they all knew about it. Pyrobite had a client that he'd given everyone that it was called V. And this client had a no-fall, but it was not the traditional no-fall that everybody is used to. It would toggle on fly if you fell a certain amount of time or a certain amount of space. It will toggle on fly, and No Cheat Plus would rubber band you back on top of what you fell off of.
That still works to this day.
Oh, it does now. Okay, yeah. Well, there was a time where it didn't.
Okay.
Housemaster disabled it for a while there when I was building SpaceValk 3 in 2018, I want to say.
Right.
That sucked.
He did switch around the anti-cheats a little bit during those years, yeah.
Ah, no wonder. Okay, so it was an anti-cheat thing. Because for a time, if you did that, it would put you below Y0.
Oh.
And Elytra were disabled in those days, so it was like, yikes.
Oh, I don't know if there's a different rule in the end, actually, but I know, in normal dimensions, that's the thing. If there's no exception in the end,
it may have something to do with the dimension.
Possibly.
Because the end specifically is not treated the same way as...
Right.
Yeah, so that happened, and it was very unfortunate. And people were too afraid to do anything at Space Valkyria. So I built the central silo that was going to be all our farms and stuff. And that was just going to be the cornerstone. Everybody was going to bridge off from there and build their own little whatever. And it was going to be really cool. And then about a month and a half later, the tell-at-A exploit happens. And the place is compromised. And now Space Valkyria is like, we got all this cool shit there. We got imps. We got, good farms. We got animals. We got all this stuff set up. And this is a valuable foothold in the end that I don't want to lose. But what can we do about it? Like, people are too afraid to do anything. And so I'm like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to bridge out a ways about 1.5 kilometers. And we're going to make a new base, a new Space Valkyria. So this is Space Valkyria 2. And we moved everything. And we moved far away. Nobody knew what direction we went because there was no chunk finding in those days. There were no Elytra. So
I'm assuming the exploit had been patched by this point, right?
Yeah, tell-at-A didn't last hardly any time.
Oh, okay, cool.
That shit was live for maybe 2 days.
Oh, all right, sure.
Yeah, it went
It was
so
OP
quickly.
as fuck, yeah.
Oh, God, was it ever. It came and went like that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, we can live safely out here. Nobody will mess with us. And we can just sort of own the end for a time. And then Talo 112 He enters back into the picture again, and he's like, "Hey Jack, I know you got your Space Valkyria base ruined. What would happen if I shut down the end?" And I'm like, "No, don't do that. God, that would be terrible." And he's like, "Yeah, and I can do it this way." And he gives me a series of screenshots of him holding a lava bucket against the side of an end portal block. And I'm like, "What are you doing? No, please don't do that." And he erases it, but he only does one block. And I'm like, "Yeah." And I guess he was trying to blackmail me. He was trying to scare me. I don't know. We'd already moved by this point. We were deeper into the end than we'd ever been. I think nobody else had yet been as deep into the end as we were at that point in time. And I was like, I really don't give a shit what he does, because I'm good enough to not fall into the void and die, because I've got a little cheat. And we managed to keep all our stuff. Would it be so bad if the end portals were destroyed? You know, I've got a spawn alt or two, and everybody knows where all the end portals are. They were public knowledge.
Yeah.
I had a little spreadsheet that showed it all and everything. And I'm like, you know, because Taylor was so kind to show me how to do it, I think it would be really cool if nobody else could get into the end ever. And then to just be the cherry on top, the person who griefed Space Valkyria, the infamous Jared 2013. You know,
Died in the void.
he has the motivation and the means. Why not just say Jared destroyed the end portals? And so that's exactly what we did. We, me, Silver Crown King Zarviar, Exalted Spartans, Parthicus, and I think that was it, because nobody else could stay alive in the end long enough to, like, stick around. Everybody else had kind of abandoned the end after Space Valk 1. But I was like, no, I'm going to make a giant wall, or a giant island, for everybody to sit on. It'll be safe. Just stay on the island. You'll be okay. And so I make this giant island. And that's exactly what I do. And everybody, we build the rest of Space Valk 2 over the next 9 months, and nobody can get into the end. Nobody's even aware that we're really out there. Some people suspected, but nobody was really truly certain who did what or why. And Jared was mad. Jared was so mad that we threw him under the bus, that, you know, that we blamed him for shutting down the end. And I was just like, I mean, get what you get, man. I don't know what to tell you. Shouldn't have griefed my base. And he kind of shrugged it off after a while. He eventually, of course, later on that year would have his fallout with Tristan, and none of it would matter. But damn it, it was funny, because we both locked down and owned an entire dimension for 9 months. And
how many
also
of you
built,
were out there?
like 4 or 5 of us.
Okay.
And like nobody reasonably could contend with that. Nobody could get out there and grief us. Nobody even really knew that that was the case. The only problem was Tristan was also out there with us. But Tristan initially, at the beginning of Space Valkyria, was fine. And toward the end of Space Valkyria 1, Space Valkyria 2, that's when he started to show that dickish behavior that I mentioned earlier.
Right.
And that's when we were like, okay, Tristan, you know, we can't have you here if you're going to be this way. Like, we can't trust you. And so we mined out the starting platform that we were living on. I moved everything onto this giant island, this giant cone-shaped island that I made. And we had to bid farewell to Tristan.
Well, so when you logged in, he just fell into the void and died?
Yeah, he just fell into the void after that. And that was the end of it. And we knew that it was going to cause enmity, but like, at the same time, like by this time, the lands had already fallen. And,
okay. So this was after you and Tristan had a falling out. Okay, all right, that makes sense.
Yeah. The dickish behavior made me concerned, and then later the lands fell, and we were like, okay, that's it. We can't have you here.
Yeah, fuck no.
Like you're going to be a problem. And then they spawned in those end portals. They legitimately did spawn in end portals. I have screenshots of that. And yeah, like it was over. They had everything. They could boat fly. They could go really fast. We had elytra, and we were some of the first people to elytra hack, but it didn't matter. Boats were easier to come by.
Was so by the
Yeah,
time
that was it.
Spacevalk 2 got griefed, was that during the Russia war?
No, that was April 2016.
Oh, it was still before. Okay, so
That was
so
that
they
period
found the cords via just their backdoor exploit, right?
Oh, they didn't. No, no, no. Tristan was at Spacevalk 2.
Oh
He
yeah,
just
you just kicked
he
him
just
out.
didn't he just didn't meaningfully log in.
Yeah.
He was cool at the beginning of Spacevalk 2. Then about 4 or 5 months later, by about November, December of 2015, that's when they were really like, nobody could really trust Tristan by
And
that.
that's when you yoinked him into the void.
No, no, no. It was about 2 or 3 months later, around March, when we lost the lands. March 2016.
Okay, but surely you knew by yoinking him into the void, he'd just come. Oh, but he didn't have access to the. Oh yeah, yeah, okay, all right.
He had access to the end.
Yeah,
We
it's
didn't
all-
expect
it's
him to
all
have
together now, yeah.
the ability to spawn in an end portal.
Yeah.
That's where he had one up on us because we didn't know the extent of their back door.
Didn't know he could literally just slap down a new portal
We
and come and
didn't
greet
know
him.
anything about what they
Yeah.
had done. And that's the problem. That was how we knew there were shenanigans, because Housemaster himself, or rather George Bush 420, whoever the fuck this was, very clearly was in their back pocket. And it's at this point that we knew, okay, there's no real getting away from them. They have their thumb on the scale. They can read people's player.dat files because they have access to the server. They know where everything is. Like, what the fuck do you do? How do you combat that?
Yeah.
If the admin, who's supposed to be impartial, is in their back pocket, what do you do? How do you defeat an all-knowing, all-seeing, all-being griefer? And that was this period of darkness where I was like, damn.
Did you
And
play
that
at all
was-
during this time?
I tried to, in spite of them,
Right.
and I knew that they would probably show up on my doorstep one day. And so
What,
from
what
April,
were you doing?
Well, all throughout April after losing Spacevalk 2, I was a vagabond. I roamed around spawn because I could elytra hack. Nobody else knew about elytra hacking.
You still have the
everybody
first
else-
Elytra, don't you?
Yes, I do.
That's
And
cool.
everybody else was like boats. Well, Housemaster disabled all rideable entities, horses, minecarts, and boats.
Oh.
And everybody was raging about that. But I could fly hack with elytra. Nobody could stop me, so I could go anywhere. And I don't think Tristan and them had gotten an elytra yet. And so I went to where a new place called the 2B2T newspaper, which was one of the first major map arts on the server, all the way back in late 2012, early 2013. And I was like, yeah, the 2B2T newspaper, it would be really cool if I could play that or run that thing. I don't know, whatever it was. And the 2B2T newspaper was where I kind of aced for a while. And then eventually I bridged off a ways, went out to a mushroom island and started building and living on that all throughout May. And I was just like, okay, if I build a base here on this mushroom island, they're just going to show up and grief it one day because they know where I am. They know everything. They're just going to wait for it to be sufficiently developed before they move in and destroy everything. And I'm like, okay, I've got to live in spite of them, because if they win, if they intimidate me off the server,
Yeah, then they win.
like they win. Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, okay, well, what do we do? What's the game plan long term? And I'm just like, thrive despite their efforts. And then this is May 29th, 2016. You can put these in the video if you like.
Yeah, sure.
And this is me. Yeah, this is May 30th, 2016.
I don't think I've ever seen screenshots of this base before.
Yeah, it's a completely private base that I never did anything. It ended up getting grief before the Rusher War would end.
What, by Tristan?
No, by a completely different set of idiots and a completely different set of circumstances.
Can you go into that?
Yes, we will get into that in a second.
Cool.
And then this is well, I don't really have a good screenshot showing off the chaos of June 1st. I guess this will have to do. I'm sorry, I've got a lot to sort through.
No worries.
Oh, yeah. Okay, this one.
I'm assuming these are all
funny.
screenshots you've shown to people in the past, right? Like, these are public.
Possibly. I don't know what screenshots I've given out my screenshots before, but I don't know what's been circulated or not. I don't really give a shit at this point. Just don't show anything that would get you demonetized.
Yeah, of course.
Anyway, so there's that. And so you can see the spam in the chat right here, like hip hip, stupid tree, give me an apple. Hip hip was the Camping Rushers.
I forgot about hip hip. Yeah,
that was the Camping Rushers slogan or some shit.
Like, hip hip.
Yeah. And the people would spam instead of asking for help or how to do anything or why the server is grief, just log off. We were telling people to just log off. Like that was gonna stop them.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god. And so yeah, this basically became. This was the Rusher War.
Did you enjoy the Rusher War?
It was fun for a while until the fourth incursion ended. Then it never seemingly ended.
Right, yeah.
And I was like, oh god, we're in this forever. This is our life now. When you're a tourist, it's fine. It's fun because you get to go home. You get to leave. You get to not be involved eventually.
But this was your internet home of the past 4 years.
Yeah. And then suddenly, this is your life now. And so this is Jared begging me to join the incursion to fight these people. And that was it. And I was just like, oh my god. So anyway, I lived on that mushroom island for a little while, building it up slowly, little by little. And then Snacky North shows back up, and I'm like, oh my god, have you heard about the new players who've joined? And he's like, yeah, we're gonna, I don't know, do whatever. And we're gonna beat them, because we all had that impression that we were gonna beat the new players. The incursion was gonna win. To be fair, we were armed to the teeth, and nobody else was. Yeah. We didn't have dupes. We didn't have any of that. And in our defense, there hadn't been a dupe exploit in 3 years.
Oh really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, okay. We were in the middle of a complete and total dry spell. Like, of course, we just figured that would keep going. We didn't expect.
Was it normal back then for people to just grind God gear? Or was it everyone had cheap stuff?
Yeah, you had to. You had to. Okay. You had to. There was no other way. You weren't getting anything if you didn't grind stuff. And so for a while, we just figured, oh, well, the newer players will get bored because they'll be so outmanned. It won't matter.
It would just be IGN all over again.
Yeah. It'll just be a really long version of another major invasion. It'll be annoying, but because the tides will almost always be in our favor, they will get mad. They'll leave. They'll rage quit. But then some of them realized, and we didn't yet realize, that not only were our stocks of items going to eventually be meaningless, but another major change had happened that we were not aware of. Now, 1.9 is controversial for a lot of reasons. But the reason it should be controversial for is one of the big reasons that nobody's paying any attention to.
What, shulker boxes?
No, that was 1.11.
Oh, okay.
1.9 changed PvP. It changed how you swing a sword. That's annoying, but that's not the end of the world. But 1.9 added elytra. Okay, well, that changed how you traveled. That's really, again, not the end of the world. That was pretty cool. But there's a third major thing that nobody's thinking of that changed PvP forever. Do you know what that was?
In crystals?
Yes and no.
Okay.
The nerf to protection armor.
Oh, right.
Protection no longer protected you like it used to. In the old days, 1.8 to about 1.3, from the advent of a god apple to the end of craftable god apples, PvP took hours. Because you had to wail on someone for so long that you chipped away at their armor such that they had less armor than you and would start taking meaningful damage. The god apple, the protection for enchantment, all of this served to insulate you and make you almost invincible. Now in 1.9, protection does not protect like it used to.
I didn't even
But
know
we
that.
didn't know that. Huh?
I didn't even know that. No.
Oh, yeah. That was in the patch notes. That's the thing. I religiously checked the patch notes back in those days, and I was like, they nerfed protection. Well, surely 4 pieces of Prot 4 is not that big of a deal. Like, surely that's still just as good. Like, maybe Mojang just nerfed it in such a way that, I don't know what I thought. I didn't think about it. That's the thing. I was dumb. No one thought about that. And so, if Ender Crystals had been craftable in 1.8, Crystal PvP would not have done anything. It wouldn't have taken off, would not have been good. Crystals would have been a terrible way to fight your opponents because they would not die to a crystal. Protection would soak up, and a piece of blast protection would soak up so much of that blast damage, it wouldn't have mattered.
Of course, this was before dupe.
This is before the nerf.
Yeah, and hacks and stuff.
Now, not only can you craft the strongest explosive ever, and also place it very easily, you now have almost, because nobody was aware of the explosive power of both end crystals and beds.
Oh, yeah, beds.
No one was aware that this was something you needed to watch out for. A full Prot 4 diamond player would get splatted in an instant by a single bed. Now, no one was invincible. And newer players figured that out really fast. This is where you start to see bed bombing take hold as a subculture of PvP. You heard about the bed bombers. They were people who were naked. They'd hang around at spawn, and you'd be deathly aware.
Kingarus video.
Yeah, you'd be deathly wary of them because you knew all they have to have is 2 blocks of clear space to place a bed, and bam. And they didn't care if they died. They were naked. But if you died, you lost all your shit. And then they didn't have a spawn set, so they'd respawn at spawn. You were at your base. And so now they had a monopoly on your stuff. You basically delivered it to them. And now PvP was no longer a guarantee. Now, suddenly, we didn't really know that there was any winning in the traditional sense of winning a war. And well, as time would have it, no, there was no winning. There were too many players. There were going to be exploits and dupes very soon. The birth of Crystal PvP at the end of the 4th incursion. The video where Fit and everybody else gets blown up by Bubba J.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that video right there, that was the birth of Crystal PvP. And that was some scary shit, because then suddenly everybody else knew about the explosive, because everybody watched Fit. That was the biggest red pill ever on how to kill people, was ender crystals, because nobody knew about that. Nobody was wearing blast protection. Nobody realized that was a dangerous thing. Nobody cared, and everybody got taken advantage of it. And that was the end of it. The world would never be the same again. And we have languished under the cancerous Crystal PvP respawn anchor meta ever since. So yeah, so that was the death of old school PvP. That was basically the end of the Rusher War in a meaningful way. From that point on, it was an occupation force.
And again, that just helped everyone. Oh well, yeah. Helped put everyone on the same level. There was no there was no superiority of being an old player anymore.
You could be the best Crystal PvPer ever, and 50,000 people, or well, not really 50,000, but like 100 people rushing at you at once. You're gonna die. You're gonna lose. One of them is gonna get you. You just don't have enough resources on your person that you could reasonably carry to not get annihilated. And that was the end of it. That was the end of the Rusher War. I'm trying to think. And then, my island. Yeah, you wanted to know how my island got griefed.
Oh, yeah.
So we go back to spawn, fight the Rusher War. That's Crystal PvP in a nutshell. And then I retreat back to that island. And who should pass by? A dick rider from TheCampingRusher who, just by happenstance, finds my island stash and immediately starts monopolizing it and is like, yeah, this is my stash now. And so I get into a giant knockdown, drag out fight with this kid. I'm not about to let him walk away with my items to claim a victory like this. No, no. And he calls on, of all people, the motherfucking Vortex Coalition to back him up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit, the Voco people? You people still exist?
Yeah, because these guys started in like 2015, right? Voco.
Yeah. They had died out by this time. Well, the Rusher War had reinvigorated them. Well, little did I know, that also meant they were going to back up all the newer Rusher players, because they were still somewhat new players themselves. They were ignorant fools, and they were plenty happy to take the side against the older players because nobody liked them, and they knew it, and they were fine to play. Yeah, they were fine to play the villains where they could. They had fun. And that was the end of that. That island got absolutely wrecked because just, first of all, it was compromised, and then after that, the fucking half the Voco people showed up at my doorstep. I killed the Jediah, the guy who found us.
I remember that guy, yeah.
Yeah, I killed him, but that was the end of that island.
Yeah,
that island
for sure. Okay. All right, so after that, it didn't go straight to Spacevalk 3, right? Spacevalk 3 started in what, 2018?
No, it started at the end of 2016.
Oh, did it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you went straight from that island to Spacevalk 3?
Not quite. That island fell in July 2016. And that's really around the time the fourth incursion really fell apart, too. So we really don't have a Rusher war anymore. We really kind of have a Rusher occupation.
Yeah.
And so offenses went from, let's kill them at spawn. Well, now bed bombing and crystal PvP are now a thing. Okay, well, we can't do that. Okay, let's just make a lag machine. Let's just bring the server to its knees. They can't play if no one can play.
Yep.
And so that's what happened. They made giant lag machines. So from the island to Spacevalk 3, let me go through my screenshots, because that has I took really avid screenshots back in those days, so that has like a good
That's cool. Delineation
of what I did and when I did it. I may have to put off streaming tonight. My voice is going to be shot.
That's good. It's a sign of a good interview.
Yeah, of course. I'm just like, wow. Okay. God, my screenshots folder is immense. Okay. Let's see here. So, okay, so we're in July, late July. Okay, so I'm a vagabond wandering around in late July. I've lost my island again. I have nowhere to go. I'm the only person who can realistically speed hack and fly with an elytra. And I just start sort of, I don't know, wandering around spawn. I don't really have anywhere important to be. It's at around this time that I've met Alpha Computer, and I just sort of become friends with him. Like, he and I just start talking, and we just become friends. I mean, Alpha was a cool guy. I liked him. I also got invited to Aureus somewhere in this part, but Aureus got griefed. I didn't really get to spend a meaningful amount of time there. It's really sad. Aureus was a great base, but that's a completely different drama. Ah, well. So Aureus gets griefed. That's another major and important thing that happened in August of 2016. I've become friends with Alpha Computer, and I've also Fit has now made his first video on me at this point in time. It's on the original Space Valkyria. This is where my name starts to really kind of get out there, and people know who I am a little bit.
What did that feel like to get that?
It was surreal. I didn't expect anyone to care about that, let alone for him to have such a huge, I don't know, impact on how people perceived 2B2T. We really should have seen, modern Fit coming from a mile away. We really should have seen that coming, because he had all the hallmarks of it in the early days. He was just less family friendly, shall we say?
Yeah.
So yeah. And another major thing that happened at this time is the drain. the drain starts up. And so Oftopia saw Fit's video on Space Valkyria 1 and invited me to the drain because he was like, you did a good base, you did cool, I liked how that looked, you know, come do that here at the drain. And I'm like, holy shit, that looks awesome. I don't have anywhere to be. Why not? And so I end up going to the drain, living there, and then I live at another base on an alt called the Sea Spire. The Sea Spire, and Jean Knott has a video on the Sea Spire, by the way. And the Sea Spire was just an old 2012 base that I snatched up from someone, and it, whoever built it abandoned it. They dumped the quartz in chat and then left. Never said anything anymore about it. And I went there and I secretly started living there, and no one ever came to check up on it. And I was like, holy shit, this place is awesome. How could anyone just abandon this place? And yeah, they did. And so I ended up getting that base in 2013, and I sat on it for like 3 years to be sure that no one would fuck with it. And sure enough, nobody fucked with it.
Did anyone even find it? Like, how far out
No.
is it?
Sea Spire would not be found until late 2019.
Wow.
It was over 100K out.
Right, okay.
So it was somewhat safe from, you know, the newer players who'd come during the Rusher War. And so I lived at the Sea Spire. I sort of refurbished it and made it more cool. I updated it. It
turned it
needed
into
a
a
lot
map
of
art
TLC.
gallery, didn't you?
Yeah. That this I had a little let me find it down here. I had a huge collection of map arts because this is where the map art boom starts. And map art was like getting really fucking cool back in those days. And I ended up, right here. Again, don't show anything NSFW.
Yeah, no worries.
Plenty of that in here.
Yeah, original maps. They were unhinged.
Oh, man. But nobody cared about that type of stuff back then. And so I was living here at the Sea Spire, which I eventually turned into a map art gallery and a few other things. And let me show you a good picture of the Sea Spire. It looked beautiful from a distance. Where's a good pic of this?
Yeah, it's a really nice looking base.
And then after that, I was talking with Alpha. I was building at the drain, though the drain didn't last very long. And we showed Bedrock. This is how we found out that Bedrock was a bad thing to show. We learned that patterns of Bedrock are continuous. They are the same through every world, and using the way the seed generates worlds, and if you know the algorithm that generates Bedrock, you can figure out the coordinates. And yeah, that was a huge oopsie. And that basically doomed the drain forever. And so that was the end of that. So I basically lived at the Sea Spire for several more months after that, until the 1111 dupe. At which point I went crazy of duping like mad. And I duped everything I could at the Sea Spire. And Alpha and I joined together and made a new base called Quartz Eaters. We were originally going to make Space Valkyria 3 out of quartz, but we were going to hand mine all that quartz.
Oh my god.
Now, to be fair, we weren't really sure the scope of Space Valkyria 3. We kind of figured it was going to be about the same size as Space Valkyria 1. Maybe a tiny bit bigger. Yeah, no. The only reason Space Valk 3 got so big was because the scope of my materials and what I could do with them just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger as more and more dupes became available. Well, the 1111 dupe made Space Valk 3 possible. This was not a base you could reasonably create mining by hand. That just was not going to be a thing. And so, Space Valk 3 and a bunch of other things ended up getting the plans for these. Oh, hold on a sec. Anyway, and so the plans for Space Valk 3 start getting finalized, and it was just the most magical thing. So the 1111 dupe gets completely patched on Thanksgiving Day. For those of you non-Americans, that's November the 25th. And so I eat a nice Thanksgiving dinner with my family, and I come back, and the dupe is gone. And I'm like, well, I got to take plenty advantage of that. I'm perfectly fine with that. And The next thing I know, elytra get re-enabled. And I'm like, the stars have all aligned because at the end of the Rusher War, it became well known you could speed hack with elytra, and so can't do that anymore. That's bad. So elytra are disabled like permanently, seemingly. We don't know anything more about it other than you can't use them. And so in late November, early December, you can suddenly use elytra again. And I'm like, has Housemaster gone insane? Does he not understand how volatile elytra are? Well, I guess not. Let's make him find out. And so we fly out because I'm like, Alpha, this is the perfect time. We've got 1111 duped items. We've got elytra are suddenly available. Let's go out like 100, 200 kilometers into the depths of the end. Let's just go out there and establish a place.
Can I just interject here? So this is like,
Yeah.
what, do you say 2019, right? Or 2018?
2016.
Oh, sorry, okay. Wait. Alright, yeah, continue. So I was going to make a point, but I forgot. Alright, yeah, good.
Oh, okay. And so I was like, yeah. Okay, so we've got all the good shit. We've got a means of travel. Nobody is paying any attention to us because they're all new players. We can just go out in the middle of bumfuck nowhere and just make this base that I had been dreaming about. I had written and drawn pictures about it. I had drawn up plans and details, material lists. Like, I was even planning out where I wanted the farms to go, just stuff like that. And Alpha was like, I don't get why you're including me in this space, but I'm happy to be here, because he felt like he was brand new to the server too. And yeah, he kind of was, but he was cool. I was all right with him being involved.
Yeah. Actually, where did
yeah.
you take the inspiration from, like, Space Valk 3? And in fact, all the Space Valkyrias, like, are they inspired by any sort of media?
Deep Space Nine, Cloud City from Star Wars. That was another big inspiration. Any sort of fantasy setting, you know how castles in fantasy settings are like bright white made of marble,
Sure.
you know, sort of ethereal looking. Like some of the cities in Lord of the Rings, the elven cities, they had this sort of spindly look to some of their architecture. A real world city would never be able to stand like that, but it's fantasy. You know, you're gonna
You're in fucking space.
Yeah, you're in space. Gravity is not strong, so who cares? It's not gonna fall apart. And so I'm just like, yeah, you can do that shit in Minecraft. That's really cool. That's the kind of thing I want to do. And so I was like, the black and white motif is really cool because black and white look good together. You know, a checkerboard,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. And so I'm like, yeah, I want that. I also want, you know, this, and the other, and all different types of farms. And I want the place to look majestic and elegant. And so I just worked on trying to polish it up and make it look as majestic and elegant as I could get away with. And I'd like to think I succeeded.
I would say you did, yeah. Had you planned the entire build before actually laying your first blocks on 2B? Like, was it?
I only drew pictures of it.
Oh, okay, so you hadn't built it
sort
first in creative or anything.
No, I didn't. So
Okay.
I was only just trying to hit the idea of what I'd drawn in pictures. Concept art of whatever final product almost never looks exactly like the final product.
Of course.
There's always some changing or some alteration that needs to happen. But yeah, I'd like to think I hit my mark.
So how long did that take to build from start to finish?
So I first had to bomb out and destroy the end island because I wanted there to be a void.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have those stupid, ugly end islands underneath my stuff. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to sit for a month and a half and just plug away at this end stone. And I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible. Okay, well, what if I just rig it all up to blow? And I blew up a small portion of our very first stash. And I'm like, oh man. And Alpha almost never let me live it down because it was embarrassing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, you know, we can do more. We can duplicate more. We got plenty of shit. We didn't move the entire 1111 dupe out there. You know, whatever. And then a new dupe happened literally 3 weeks later. And I'm like, haha, we can just duplicate everything back. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
And yeah, it didn't matter. And so we ended up working on that sucker from February 19th, 2017, up until about early December 2017. That's the central pillar. And I can show you what I had. I can show you a screenshot of what I had at the end of 2017.
Sure.
At the end of 2017, I think I can show you even where I went wrong. And there was an error that I could not troubleshoot. And I wasn't sure what my problem was. Okay. I hope it doesn't decide to kick me.
It shouldn't, though.
And spamming a bunch of stuff. Because I was like, this is an issue. And so I was like, these arms are not matching up symmetrically.
Ooh,
I had this much of... By the end of 2017, I had this much of space. Oh, come on. Quit being a bitch. It's not letting me drag it into Discord. There we go. Anyway, so I had this much of Spacevalk 3 done so far. And I was like... And you can see in the background, you can see little remnants of endstone from where I blew everything up.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, that was all that I had there. And I was like, I can't get the arms of this giant cylindrical tube tunnel, you know, where they meet at a diagonal. I couldn't get them to meet up the way that I had planned. And I had planned it out pixel for pixel, block for block in MS Paint. And I meticulously pored over every section that I could, trying to figure out where I had miscounted. And as it turns out, these arm formations, I'm going to have to mark it in Paint for you to see what I mean. Let me save this as something new. Okay. And so these arm formations that were, they went to the central disk to the tube tunnels. This tube tunnel here will eventually house what I call Rainbow Road. But they're all connected to these giant elevators from these little
You've just
thin...
sent the same screenshot twice, sorry. Were you meant to send something else?
No.
Oh, you drew an arrow. Yeah. Okay.
Here's the arrow.
Yeah.
Okay. These little thin sky bridges were exactly one block too long in their respective directions. The eastern gate was my basis. I drew the circle in MS Paint using the eastern gate radius as my basis. The northwest and southern gates were all exactly one block too long in their respective direction, meaning the diameter of my circle was 2 blocks too long overall. But I wasn't accounting for that. And so I couldn't get the arms of the tube to match up the way that I calculated they would. They were like off by 1 block. Well, yeah, no shit, they're off by 1 block. Their connecting part is 1 block too long. But I couldn't go back and figure out that's where I'd gone wrong. And so this frustration at the end of 2017 made me go, oh, fuck it. I'm taking a few months break. I'm just taking a vacation. I can do that. Nobody's out hunting me. You know, we still got veteran queue. It'll be good.
You finally got what you wanted. You're safe in the end.
Yeah. I can just come back later. It won't be a problem. Well, unfortunately, I still couldn't figure out what the problem was at the original site. But I wouldn't have very long to sit and mull over the problem, because I get done with my little holiday from 2B2T around spring break of 2018. And I'm like, okay, I'm recharged, I'm rested, I want to tackle whatever this problem is. I want to, fix my base.
And I'm
And no
assuming you're
sooner-
too much of a perfectionist to just kind of match it, make it look, so that
Well,
it looks
yes.
fine, but it's not mathematically correct.
Yes, but you're about to see just how much of a perfectionist I can be.
Oh, Lord.
So, what's about to happen is that I get back and it's spring break of 2018, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to tackle this. I want to figure out what the problem is, and we can maybe resolve it, whatever. I don't care how bad of a problem is, I will rebuild whatever I need to rebuild, right? And then I get word that someone has our coords. And I'm like, what do you mean they have our coords? Who? Optopia has warned me and has said, Jack, I know who has your coords. It's Lane. And I'm like, oh no. Lane and Alpha Computer we were all former spawn masons in 2017. And Lane and Alpha Computer hated each other. If Lane is trying to get to here, and he knows that Alpha Computer bases with Jacktherippa, he'll probably put 2 and 2 together and go, oh, this is spacevalk 3. Oh shit. I can sell that to the highest bidder. I know. We didn't know what he intended to do with this. And so I'm like, oh God, he cannot be allowed to get here. But I don't know where exactly he's trying to go. Well, as it turns out, a screenshot of where we originally settled Space Valkyria 3. I will refer to this screenshot as the first site. The first site we quickly evacuated from at the end of 2016 because one of our base mates logged in with a backdoored Forge hacks on accident, realized his mistake, and then quickly logged out. And so just on the off chance that our cords had been compromised somehow, we just moved location. And we founded a new place, which is what I built throughout 2017. This is the second site. And so I get word that someone's trying to find us. Someone's trying to go there. They have coords to the first site. And I'm like, oh shit. The first site and the second site are only a kilometer apart. And chunk finding is now a thing. They'll find us. All they have to do is get there, and they'll find us. Fuck. We can't stay here anymore. We have to go. And so I bridge out 12 more kilometers and found the third site. And I'm like, I'm not letting anything getting in my way. This is my magnum opus. I am going to make this base happen. And even today, I'm of that opinion. I'm going to make this base perfection. The best that I can possibly make. This is the base second site as it is when we are forced to leave it in, I believe it's March. What's the timestamp? March 26th, 2018. And it pains me to do it, but I'm like, Alpha, we have to move. We have to go. And I'm not going to let anything stand in my fucking way. And so you know what? April 21st, 2018. Here I am, doing it again. And so this is the third site. And I'm rebuilding it all, block for block. Now, I had a world download that I could go back and reference. And I could, rebuild things using screenshots and all that. So I had a way of replicating it. And so I replicate it perfectly at the third site. This is why there were 2 copies of spacevalk 3 on 2B2T. The one I made in 2017 and the one I made again in 2018. So our initial plan was, well, they'll find the original site. They'll find the original version that I made in 2017. They'll find that. It's an empty shell. We've already moved away. They'll find that and grief it and go, haha, we griefed spacevalk 3. We beat Jacktherippa. And they'll have their hollow victory and not know any better. Meanwhile, we'll have already moved long far away, and I'll have already rebuilt spacevalk 3 by this point, and that's where we'll actually be. All our stuff will be there, all that. And we'll just let them have their image, their impression of a victory. And we just won't say anything. And we'll be like, oh no, you beat us. Ah, well. And we'll just go radio silent for a while. But nobody ever found the second site. Nobody ever trumpeted, oh, hey, look at me, I found spacevalk 3. Look, I'm so cool.
They never bothered to look, yeah.
Well, the guy who was trying to get to us, it's important to note that Elytra was disabled
Oh,
again
right.
at the beginning of 2018. Elytra were disabled at the end of 2017. Funny enough, it was disabled on 9/11, 2017. Yeah, I know, very ironic, but what can you do? Anyway, and so I'm like, so there's no Elytra for months and months and months. So there's no easy way to get out here. And as it turns out, they were never able to get out to spacevalk 3. They were never able to find us. Moving was pointless. So I moved us all and created a replica. And this one, the replica only took 6 months to make this time. So by October of 2018, I'm looking at a perfect replica of spacevalk 3. Only this time, I didn't fuck up the arms, and I managed to successfully make Rainbow Road, that middle tube ring. I made the arms match up properly, and I'm like, I did it right. Oh God, what did I not do right at the old one? And I thought, well, the copy or the original can just stay there. The copy is the one that we'll keep building on. That's the one that will make awesome. And then not a fucking second later, I run out of all of my building materials that I duplicated during the 1.12 crafting dupe. All of the copy was possible because of the 1.12 crafting dupe. And I ran out of materials October 18th, 2020 or 2018. And I'm like, Alpha, I don't have anything. I have no more materials to make spacevalk 3 with. What the fuck do we do? We'd moved everything by this point. There just were no stashes anymore. And he's like, well, you could always break down the original site and move all those items painstakingly to the copy. And I'm like, well, yeah, I could do that, but I want to leave the original site up as a decoy. And he's like, well, what can you do? Like, I can't help you there. Like,
I mean, surely though, by this point, obviously you're kind of, you're one of those 2B2T legends, right? Like all the new players know your name. You could get a fucking stash. You could get someone to help you fund materials for the project. Like that wouldn't be a problem.
No, it wouldn't be a problem. But the reason I didn't want to do that was precisely because Jacktherippa is requesting a large amount of items.
That puts a target on your head.
What do you think? And I already had people, I was playing on my main at this time, by the way. I already had people just whispering me out of the blue, are you the real Jacktherippa? And I'm like, well, yeah, I am. Sometimes I'd tell them no, sometimes I'd tell them yes. But I'm a very open person. I just talk to whoever. Yeah. I don't give a shit. I enjoy talking to people. Yeah, some of them could be annoying, but, wasn't the end of the world. And so I was like, all right, whatever. But again, Jacktherippa is requesting a lot of items. What do you think that implies? And so I'm like, I want to lay as low as possible, at least in as far as what I'm doing. Being on the server is one thing. I didn't yet know that even being on the server was a problem. Now, what else was going on at this time in about mid to late 2018? What else was getting started that would one day crack the server wide open?
What, NoCom?
NoCom. Yeah. You hit it right on the head. NoCom was starting up at right this point. But again, we didn't know that. We had no way to know that. And so I'm like, okay, well, if I start ordering, for example, if I start ordering from the shulker box shops or whatever, word's going to get out that Jack is up to something. And so I want to lay as low as possible. Just keep a low profile. I don't mind if people see me online. I just don't want them knowing what I'm doing. I mean, obviously I'm building a base, but I don't want them to know what that base is. And not a second later, the chunk dupe happens. And the chunk dupe, I contest to this day, the chunk dupe is the strongest duplication exploit 2B2T has ever seen. No dupe. I don't even think it's possible going forward, even if 2B2T ever does update. I don't think it's possible to ever power creep how unbelievably absurd the chunk dupe was.
I mean, we're still all living on the chunk dupe items to this day. Really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I completed the copy. And now the chunk dupe is here. And I'm like, Alpha, We've got an ass ton of items. We have this dupe stash here. Let me find a picture of it. I forget how long it took us to make. It was large. Ah, here we go. Okay. Again, hopefully it doesn't kick me.
No.
I'll send no more than 4. We duplicated an entire double chest full of shulker boxes of every single unique item in the game. A double chest of shulkers of snowballs, a double chest of shulkers of snow blocks,
Jesus
a double
Christ.
chest of everything. We did exactly 200 double chests of shulker boxes of quartz.
Bloody
Everything. TNT.
I've never heard about this.
This dash, you can see the up there. You can see the tube of Rainbow Road. You can see where we were living up there at that time. You can see this absurd row of double chests. We called that Trump's Wall. It was so fucking funny. And it was so cool because we had a double chest of every item in the game. Of shulker boxes full of it. We were so set at that time, we thought we were living large. We were on top of the world. And it's at this time that, and I'm going to give you some screenshots that are going to start looking really, really, really familiar. If you saw Fit's video that he made in 2019 on Spacevalk 3. And again, I'm going to try to not go over the too many screenshots. You must be spamming limit. And yeah, this is the time where we have an ass ton of items, an unbelievable wealth. And it's at this time where I'm like, okay, the original site can just be the decoy. It can just be empty. I don't care. The third site, the copy, that's the place we are going to continue on and make amazing.
The stash was at the copy, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Because that's where all our items are. That's what we need to propel Spacevalk 3 to even greater heights.
And it's the copy that has the completed Rainbow Road with the fucking...
Right.
It all lining up and shit, yeah.
Right. And so, this is where I start developing the rings. And this is where... it's shortly after I complete the rings and I make it all look good. The rings go all the way around. Every sector is filled. Or not filled, but like I can start to fill in each sector. And the next thing I know, let me find it. This is the day before May the 6th, 2019. It's all pristine. It's beautiful. We got our giant stash. All of that. And this is May the 10th. Just a few days later. And you probably know what this is. The grief of Spacevalk 3.
Ah.
Yeah, it hurts.
Ouch, yeah.
And the entirety of all the stash, Trump's Wall, all of it, obliterated.
Yeah, so they found the cause from NOCOM then.
They got it via NOCOM, yep.
Yeah. Because I swear at the time they used some bullshit excuse like you died in the end, and then they used God mode to like just watch you. Yeah.
But there's a silver lining to all this. So first of all, that May the 6th, 2019 screenshot, I took that screenshot. I don't know what it is. People are weird. We have a sort of instinctual feeling about ourselves. When I got done on May the 6th, 2019, I got done making all the rings go all the way around. And this is the shape that it was in when Fit did his video on it.
Yep.
I just got this feeling. I don't know what it was.
Just that eerie picture.
Nothing was out of place. No blocks were touched. There was nothing to innately tell me someone's here that shouldn't be. I just got this feeling in the back of my head, this little voice that just said, Jack, take a world download. Jack, you've come so far. You've done so much. Do yourself a favor and save it. And so I walked around the whole thing and quickly, world downloaded it and saved it. And I just thought, okay, well, that's cool. The very next day, I come home from work and I see Tristan in chat. I just placed one TNT. I just placed one TNT.
Oh, boy.
And remember, this is Jared's month of May.
Yeah.
Him. And so I'm thinking, they're probably griefing someone's base. Oh, God, that would be terrible. Wouldn't it be funny if... And so I'm on, when I log in after getting home from work, I'm out on like the edge of one of these rings, filling in a sector. And I see Tristan's spam, in chat. And I'm like, wouldn't it be funny if... No, it couldn't be. And so I start walking back toward the central pillar. And I get into Rainbow Road and I see TNT. A TNT line. And my heart sinks and I'm like, no, this has to be a prank. No, this can't be real. And I start... because you could do this back then. You could... Remember when you could speed hack? On not on horses, but on foot.
On ground, yeah.
On ground speed hack. And so I'm just like, okay, let me follow this TNT. Where does it go? Maybe a base mate is pranking. Because Alpha did shit like that. Alpha would play with me. Alpha would screw with me. And I would just, if it was a prank, we could just laugh it off and just be whatever. I wasn't gonna get mad, none of that. And I speed hack in the wrong direction. And run headfirst into Tristan, Jared, Clyde, Brenillan, and Frickin.
Damn.
And so I'm like, oh, fuck. How do I defeat them in a 5v1? And the answer, of course, is you don't. And this is basically the end of the copy, the third site of spacevalk 3. And I was like, there's no way in hell they still have stuff from way back when, 2016. And that they still have their backdoor. And I'm like, okay, we're gonna see the extent of just how bad things really are. So I end up dying to their fight because it's a 5v1. How the fuck do you win that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. I still have an alt logged off near the second site. The original where we built everything, where things went wrong. If they've got a back door, they will have found that and likely already griefed it.
So in your head, you were thinking, oh shit, they might have another back door.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Because, every time they've showed up at my base and griefed me, they've had a back door.
Yeah.
It's only happened twice, but it's very weird that it's happened more than once.
For sure.
And so, I'm like, okay. Surely, everything is okay. Surely, I may just be overreacting. Maybe 2v2t is not that far gone. And I log in and go to the second site. They're busy destroying the third site. They're still going. Their spam is still going. And I get onto an account they don't know about. And I'm like, okay, have they ruined everything? And the pristine second site comes into view. It's untouched. And I'm like, oh my God, hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. This place is completely fine. They had no clue that this even existed. And so entirely because, he was at the grief. He was on a barcode account.
Well, Tristan.
Tristan was on Tristan, I want to say, or he was on another. It didn't matter. It didn't matter who was who. I knew who they were. It didn't matter who was on what account. Anyway, so they were going wild, doing their thing. And I'm just like, oh my God, I have somehow managed to, despite the odds, keep a base alive and secret without the nerds having any clue. And at this point, I'm like, okay, I cannot be online. They cannot know I'm here. I've got to retreat to a secret alt. No one can know who I am. I've got to go underground, go into hiding, whatever. witness protection program, that kind of thing. Because they've got something. I don't know what it is. I don't know how they're doing it, but they've got something. I'm not stupid. This is too easy, too coincidental, too much of a convenient patsy. You know, they always say the same shit. Like, you're dreaming, you're delusional. They did this, they did that. You know, they somehow did something, and that's how they got your coords. It's never actually, we have an incredibly sophisticated system to suss out everyone's coords. They're not going to admit that. But they very obviously have something. And anyone with half a brain, even people like Zero Neb, even people who are just paying any bit of attention are going to go, something's weird. These people have more than they are letting on.
Would they have recognized the alt account you were on, the second site?
No.
No, okay.
I made absolutely certain that was an account no one knew about.
Okay, cool.
And to this day, that account is still a secret.
Nice.
And so I'm just like, okay, I can go back to the second site, keep building on it. Now I've lost my whole stash. I've got nothing. The second site is empty. We moved everything because the second site was supposed to be the decoy that was going to be blown up, not the other way around. And so I'm like, okay, I've lost my entire giant stash from the best duplication ever. Great. What do we do? Yeah, I've still got a base, but no means of advancing it. And that's when Silver Crown King logs in at the third site. He, of course, heard about the grief. The nerds have moved on by this point. They left. Third site's in shambles. And Silver's running around surveying the damage. And what do you know? One itty-bitty lone donkey is missed and is safe and secured. And Silver tells me, and I quickly build a bridge, because again, Elytra are not enabled. I build a bridge from the second site to the third site and quickly ferry that motherfucker to safety at the second site. Because Sculler G tells me about Entity God mode. Of course, we know that that's how the nerds got there. They got on pigs, got into Entity God mode, and then just no-clipped their asses all the way there. That's how they got out there. Well, everybody else who will have heard about the Spacevalk 3 grief are going to do the same thing. So time is of the essence. We got to get this donkey to safety. And so in a day, I get that fucker to safety at the second site, destroy the bridge, and the third site is now just a graveyard. And I also found out that with Entity God mode, you can duplicate the animal that you're riding. Which means that we can duplicate the donkey's inventory. Which means not only was Entity God mode a means of being both invincible and traveling wherever the hell you wanted, you could also duplicate items. It was a 3-in-1, like Swiss Army knife of duplication exploits.
Yeah,
It's like fun. It was everything. Honestly, had we not just come off of the chunk dupe a few months earlier, I would have proposed Entity God mode be the strongest dupe in history. But then again, I guess the chunk dupe would have been found eventually, and that would have displaced it. Yeah. But Entity God mode is definitely in second place. Like, Entity God mode did everything. Everything. It was a travel exploit, it was invincibility, it was duplication. Like, what more do you want? It was the trifecta of base breed. Yeah, it was PvPing, it was base building, and it was griefing, all in one go. It was anything you could want it to be. And it was amazing. And so this is how we basically duplicated up. We didn't quite duplicate up Trump's wall worth of items, but we got enough stuff under our belt to get the progression back going. And so by the end of 2019, I've got this much going. And this is where I've kind of started planning. Oh, wait, that's an old stash. That place is gone. Don't worry about it. It's been destroyed.
Sure.
So yeah, you see I'm using Schematica here, and you could see... Oh, excuse me. You can see all of the planned stuff for the disc.
Mm-hmm. It's all that.
And just like all of that, yeah. how I was going to fill it all in. And then by February, I was 2020. I was doing this.
Did you have to completely remove the ring that was there before that didn't line
Yep.
up to make a new one? Yeah.
Yep.
Jesus.
Everything was off by one block. All of it. I had to dismantle all of it. And thank God we had a dupe. Yeah. Oh my God. If that hadn't happened, this would not have happened. And so I was able to, through the course of the next several months, make what I call the disc. And this was where I was going to build that city my mod friend told me about, or rather hinted at.
All those years ago. Yeah.
All those years ago, that city never left my mind. I wanted to make a giant fucking city. And so eventually, I completed the disc, and this is the pattern that is on the disc surface. And this was on 2B2T. This was all legitimately done there.
Fuck,
and
that was huge, yeah.
That was May the 5th, 2020. And May the 7th, 2020, I had my finals for courses that I was taking in college. And I had a very nasty, rude awakening. Jack, wake up. Somebody found us. And I'm like, oh my God, no, not again. This time, it was a group of Turkish streamers who were basically, enamored with 2B2T. And they were like, yeah, you must be Jacktherippa. Or no, you must be a knockoff Jacktherippa. You can't be the real guy. We're going to sell your cords on the Reddit. And I was like, no, you fucking idiots. I'm really Jacktherippa. And then I'm just like... And then when we finally convinced them, because they did at least listen to reason and get, they did actually understand I was Jacktherippa. By that time, they'd already put our cords and shit out on the Reddit. They just deleted their Reddit threads, but it was too late. People already knew about it. It was over. That was the end of it. And so I had a world download of it more complete, with the disc being fully intact. And I was okay, but then I was like, people are going to show up here. People are going to know. They're going to start poking around. Because again, chunk finding is a thing. That's the end of it.
Yo. You alright?
Yeah, how are you?
I'm good. Are you bored?
Well, I'm going to be jealous.
Why are you looking at Oh, you got a new vape? Okay, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Sorry about that. One of my flatmates wanted something. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah.
Also, reconnect, by the way, because you're off the server.
Ah, damn it.
Cheers.
Okay. So, let's see now. So yeah, the Turks found us at this time. And they were stupid. They were just absolutely stupid. They basically sold us out for nothing. And it ended up just being, I was so done with 2B2T. And then at this time, about May going into June 2020, I'm looking over to my right and I'm seeing Modern Minecraft and it's 1.16. Yeah. And I'm like, gee, that looks really nice right about now. And so I'm like, okay, I'll give 2B2T a chance. If it updates, cool. If not, because see, up until 1.16, the problem was predominantly that there was no stability to 1.13, 14, and 15. Well, I was looking at 1.16 very closely. Mojang overhauled a lot of things and streamlined a lot of things. Maybe this is enough to get it to be stable and thus we can update. Maybe we can go somewhere. And it ended up that didn't happen at all.
Yep.
And
So
it
you were just like,
it just never happened.
Yeah.
Like, I kept hoping, and I kept hoping throughout 2020 and 2021. I just kept hoping.
was this
and it
all
just-
the while you'd moved on to your own server?
Yeah, all the while I had moved on to streaming and content creation, and I was just like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 2B2T is just not. I can't do anything on there. I can't show who I am. Obviously, NoCom eventually came out that's still that was a thing. I don't know that that's still not a thing. There's all these accusations of people having power and control over the server, and I'm just like, I don't want any of that. Fuck that noise.
Yeah.
I would rather just play in hardcore, stream creative mode, and just do my own thing and just not worry about it. Like, I don't gotta worry about it. And that was that.
Yeah. Okay, so what are you up to nowadays? Explain, because obviously you stream,
Oh, man.
you build, like, are you still building
Nowadays-
SpaceValk 3 in a
Yes,
single player?
we are on episode 100 and what are we on? 170. I wrote it in Roman numerals for some silly reason. Okay, we are on 173 today. So I'm projected to get to episode 200 on January the 30th.
Wow. And do you stream, like, every day or what?
Every Monday and Wednesday.
Right, okay.
So yeah, it's a long, continuous, ongoing process.
Well, come on,
And,
show me some
yeah.
screenshots. What's the base looking like nowadays on your own
Oh
server?
my god. Oh man. So I've gone fully into that city motif. So I mean, obviously all the central stuff is done. Let me pull up some really good screenshots because I've had to make thumbnails and stuff over the years. It's coming up on my 2nd year anniversary of streaming now.
Wow. And you've done
And
well.
so
You've
I've
built up like 13,000 subscribers, right?
Yeah. I've been trying to really like
That's awesome.
make things work for me because 2B2T is okay, but honestly, I don't think unless you're fitmc, you can't really do anything on 2B2T, you know?
Do you think there'll ever
I
be a
don't know.
point in the future where you do finally fulfill your dreams of building a city in the end on 2B?
Not likely because 2B2T doesn't seem like it's ever going to be
If it were to
worthwhile play
update.
on. If it were to update, I could maybe do it, but like, the problem is now I don't have the time.
Right.
Now I'm just so embroiled with doing all my other things that I want to do and need to do and stuff. I just don't have the time to play 2B2T. I could maybe do it if I cut off hardcore and did something else.
Wow. That's fucking awesome. God damn. That's beautiful. Shit.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it'll make everybody who saw only the Fit video, or maybe only Sal C1's video, because I got Sal to make a video on everything that had happened. I was hoping that maybe that would motivate them. Everybody would get to see how crazy it's gotten, how dense.
Yeah, yeah. It's really dense, isn't it? There's buildings everywhere.
Oh yeah,
That's awesome. And is this in single player or creative?
it's in single player with creative mode,
Ah, okay.
with world edit.
Also, yeah, sorry, I meant survival. Okay, yeah, it is creative. Cool.
Yeah. It's not. I don't think it'd be possible to build this in survival mode anymore.
Not with that
I think it
achievement.
has gone. I think it has gone beyond the scope of that now.
Yeah, that's understandable.
You're looking at some 8 million blocks.
Bloody hell.
Like, I'm not even joking. Like, this is beyond the scope
Yeah,
of what a
yeah.
person can do in survival.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
In
man.
insofar as your ability to get items.
Yeah.
If you had a reliable way of getting quartz and obsidian that far out in the end, you could maybe do it. But as it is now, no.
I can.
You can fund that, Frank? Oh, wow. I
Oh, he
mean,
could.
good. But
Still 1.12.2.
your issue isn't so much funding as it is transport. Because you got to get all that shit out there. And you could use pearl transporting, I'm sure, but even that
Got to
is
make
so
a trail
bottleneck.
at some point.
Yeah, you got to make a trail, right? That's such a bottleneck.
Yeah, but maybe in the future, if the server updates, things maybe die down. You know, the community seems
Yeah.
like something more that you'd want to interact with, and it's not a definite no, right?
For now, it's a definite no, but if everything changed, we'll see.
Okay. Okay. Well, fuck. I think we've pretty much gone through your story. Oh yeah, I was gonna ask. I mean, I'm sure you're probably not allowed to say this, but I remembered
What?
that like fitmc used like your spacevalk 1 in like some merch. Like, did he pay you a
Oh
lot
yeah,
of
he
money
got
for
my
that?
permission. He got my permission.
Do you get
I
money
got a
for
cut of it.
Okay,
Yeah, I got a
nice.
cut of it.
That's cool. That's
I got
cool.
over $1,000. It was fine.
Oh, nice. All right, sweet.
Yeah, I was the only person who told him yes.
Oh, really? Who else did he ask?
Oh, just other bases in that general vicinity. There was some I think there was an attempt to get something Valkyria related. There was an attempt to get Shenandoah, I think.
Huh. I mean, that's not really
There-
a
there
base
were-
that Fitfags would recognize, though.
No, it really wouldn't. He was just trying to get famous bases, just in general.
Okay.
And then Housemaster later on in 2021 made his little amendment to the terms of service.
To say that they own the copyright of everything built on the server.
Yep. No having fun. No selling merch. No none of that.
That is crazy,
tell-
actually, yeah.
Yeah. You can tell he was very rubbed the wrong way.
Well, by FitMC making merch like that, yeah.
Oh well, he made money hand over fist.
Yeah, I'm fucking joking.
And well,
Out of all the 3 Space Valkyries, which were you kind of most upset about when they got griefed?
oh, definitely 2, because I was really beginning to enjoy the way 2 was going. I wanted 1, but I got most of what I wanted to do on 1 finished before it was found. But I feel like 2 never got the chance to really meet its potential.
Right.
And it just what could have been, you know? And it was all entirely because of interpersonal drama. It was just dumb bullshit. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, how have you developed your like build? Because obviously the transition from SpaceValk 1 to SpaceValk 3, it's stark, right? So how kind of is that just as time goes on you become better at building, or do you actively like? I mean, like, how much building do you do? Like, how do you get new ideas, and how do you become a better builder in your eyes?
Well, challenging yourself is a really good idea. If you feel like you're growing stagnant or you want to improve your building ability, you really need to like look at big scale projects that will test your time and patience.
Okay.
Something that you can look at and be proud of later. Challenge yourself to innovate and maybe, I don't know, look at other people's stuff for inspiration. That always helps me. Just don't stick to what you're used to doing, you know? Push your boundaries, challenge yourself. Like, I really can't give you any better advice than that, because I see so many people, they make the same thing. They build the same base 15 times, and it's just like, okay.
Yeah.
Dawn Fuhrer, exactly. Like, it's okay. They do at least try to somewhat change Dawn Fuhrer, but maybe do a different style, you know?
Be more out
different
there.
block palette. When I did a interview, I did a large interview with god damn it, I'm blanking.
Anarchy
Crowbar.
Podcast, Doctor and the Poodles.
No, I did an interview with Crowbar about
did you?
a month ago. Yes, you can see the videos of them on my channel.
Oh shit.
So I went onto the archive to get video footage for it all, because just the boring, you know, talking part wouldn't have been good enough on its own. And as I was touring around the archive looking at all of Crowbar's stuff, it struck me just how wildly different all of his big bases, all the bases on the archive that Crowbar has made, they are all different. They're not the same shit. They're not 5 variations of the same build. They're not, you know, like you said, Dawn Fuhrer. It's each one has its own identity, its own block palette. Each one does its own thing. It pushes its own boundaries. It's interesting. You go to these bases and you're not just blown away by how well laid out they are. You go, wow, this base tells a story. This base has a theme. This base is, you know, whatever. And you just, I don't see that. That's not common. So I don't know. If you want to get good, you have to push yourself. You have to make yourself push yourself out of your comfort zone and do stuff you don't normally do. That's a really good way to grow at anything.
Yeah, really, yeah. Okay, I mean, on the topic of advice then, in modern day 2B2T, I know you don't play, but obviously you have plenty of experience on the server. What is one thing you can kind of recommend or you can say to new players so that they maximize their enjoyment of the server? Not so much that they're successful on the server, but they maximize their enjoyment.
Well, if you want to enjoy your time, because see, I don't want to say build something you'll be proud of. First of all, not everybody's a builder, but also nobody. A lot of comments I'll get would be something to the effect of, "Why would you build on a server where you know, especially this to this degree, when you know everything's just going to go belly up? Why would you do that?" And so a lot of people are of that mindset. Why put forth effort if you know it's just going to get destroyed? So if you want to maximize your enjoyment, but you're afraid of losing everything, because inevitably you will, maybe don't put so much emphasis on what you do or where you go. Put more emphasis on your experiences along the way. Document your own journey. Be your own storyteller of your story. Don't just be, a clout chaser, a PvPer. Don't try to go on and join this or that big building, whatever. Like, try your hand at many different things. Give yourself credit. Give yourself a chance to fail. Be, merciful on yourself. And just enjoy the ride. Don't go crazy. Don't get obsessed with it. Don't let personal or interpersonal drama or group drama or whatever, if you end up joining a group, don't let that shit bring you down. Just go with the flow. If you allow yourself to be carried, I mean, obviously you can pick what direction you're carried in, but if you let yourself get carried in such a way that you're not worried about where you end up, 9 times out of 10, you find you end up in a pretty decent spot. And that may not be the fame that you initially thought you'd find. It may not be, so-and-so's base or this or that group. That's okay. You are the best representation of your own story, more so than anyone else could ever be.
So, TLDR,
be yourself.
Be yourself. Be yourself. Right. Okay.
I mean, it's been said a billion times, and it's cliched as fuck, but it's true. And yeah, I just said it in a really fancy way.
Focus on the journey, not the destination.
Yeah. Well, I will say, life is both a journey and a destination. You still need a destination to set out toward to start a journey. If you just have a journey with no destination and you've never set a destination, that's not a journey. That's just wandering aimlessly. That will never amount to anything. That will leave you dissatisfied. But if you have a journey and a destination in mind, yeah, you may come up short, but you'll still be going somewhere. You'll still have something at the end of that you can be proud of.
Set unrealistic expectations.
Yeah, setting unrealistic expectations is the downfall of so many. Just enjoy who you are. Enjoy whatever you get up to. Enjoy being. It's okay.
Okay, that's some solid advice. That's okay. All right, so I asked Jared this question, and I thought he gave a very interesting response. So I'm going to ask you as well. Do you have any regrets from your time on 2B2T?
Yeah, definitely getting to know a few of the people I got to know and letting them into my base. A lot of the members who would become Nerds Inc. people, or people who would at some point just sort of like get really upset that interpersonal drama got ahead. It's like, for example, with Kino Rana, he got mad that I let Alpha into our group. I don't know why. He never liked Alpha, and he let it get to him. And so I would probably just never have included Kino Rana.
I mean, hindsight's 2020. So back then, how do you think you could have done better to filter out those people and kind of detect when people were going to be a bad addition to your circle?
I just wouldn't have taken Kino Rana with me to the lands at the end of Space Valkyria. Because he was cool, and I just thought, hey, he'll be fun. Yeah, he'll want to come along. He's he doesn't know that many people online. He'll be fun.
So you think you should have been more cautious with who you invited initially?
Probably.
Yeah. Okay.
With Brunillan, however, Brunillan invited himself, and I wasn't really like against him, but then I didn't really know him deep down like I should have before vetted. I should have vetted him better before inviting him.
Right.
Because if you don't know anything about Brunillan, he's a bit of a creep.
In what way?
He's done some sleazy shit.
Right.
Not safe for work things that I don't want to.
Oh, okay.
Like,
right,
actually, he has admitted to this, and that
Okay.
really kind of like torpedoed
strange
my.
guy. Mm.
Oh, not who.
Yeah.
He's not the only person who's been that way. Online, maybe
Oh.
not. Maybe on 2B2T.
2B's
but
full of
online.
those people. Trust me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, gonna ask you the question I ask most of my guests, one of my favourite questions. Do you think 2B2T has had a net positive or a net negative impact on your life overall?
Oh, definitely a net positive.
In what ways?
Definitely net positive. For starters, I set out way back when I joined to find a server that would challenge me, a server that would, make me enjoy the thrill of Minecraft, because I knew that. I knew that Minecraft had been getting bored for me. Before I joined 2B2T and Casual Comfy Guys, all I played was just single player, and that was okay, but it wasn't what it should have been. It wasn't I wouldn't have kept playing Minecraft all these years had I not joined 2B2T. I would not have enjoyed playing Minecraft. And Minecraft has been an amazing creative outlet for me. And I can't imagine not having that.
Is there anything you can think of that, like, says perhaps, oh, this
That
kind of
compares?
this thing about 2B2T kind of had a negative impact on my life or something like that, or is it all positive?
I'm trying to think of what was truly a negative impact. Not really,
Nothing.
because
That's
like I was
good.
never really doxxed.
Yeah.
Nobody ever really like bothered me.
You're mature enough to not spend
I
your
was
whole
mature
life
enough
on
to
the
keep
server.
them at bay.
Yeah.
I was mature enough to not let it get under my skin. I was already an adult when I found 2B2T. Like literally, I was 22.
Oh, okay.
Like, I was way older than most of the people.
You're
I didn't know
32
that,
now.
but
Jesus Christ. Oh, okay. Bloody
I'm
hell.
32, not 42.
I said 32. Don't worry.
Oh, I'm sorry. You clipped. Yeah, no,
Oh.
actually, I'm 33.
Wow. Okay.
I was about to turn 23 at that time, but yeah, no, like I'm way older than most.
Yeah,
See, the thing is, most of the really ancient players who played, in 2011, 2012, they were just high schoolers.
yeah.
They were young, dumb as shit, ignorant, foolish children. Like, I chalk up remember at the very beginning of the interview, I said all people really did was they would hurl insults at each other in chat, and they would spam. I'm 80% convinced that stemmed exclusively from the fact that they were just all young, dumb kids.
Sure.
And yeah, 4chan culture played into that, but that I'd been browsing 4chan since 2006.
Wow.
I'm just older and more mature and wiser just because I've been around. And I would like to hope that especially the older players who, everybody worships or thinks about, it's been 8, 9, 10 years in some cases since those people last played 2B2T. I would like to think they are in a completely different headspace. Their lives are different. They're not who they used to be. No one's who they used to be, I would hope, when they were a kid, a young, dumb high schooler, a teenager, none of that.
Yeah.
We all change. And that's the point. So, I don't know. At least for me, I haven't changed and grown very much just because I'd already done all that. You do kind of reach the point where you stop growing.
Sure.
But, yeah, it just, I don't know.
Do you think if you had joined
don't care.
2B2T as a 14-year-old, your life would have turned out
God,
differently?
I don't want to think about that. I know it would have. I know it would have, because I was impressionable. I was foolish when I was 14. I was stupid.
So let's say you have children one day, or maybe you already do, I don't know, and
No, I don't.
they come to an age where they want to play. They find fitmc videos and want to log on. Are you letting them?
Oh, man. I hope it's gone by that point.
Yeah, most likely.
I hope there is no 2B2T by that point.
Let's
But if
say
there
it
is something like that, I mean, I would, especially in the modern day with the modern internet being what it is, I would immediately, the moment my children are old enough to read, I would be very careful with what they do and where they go online.
Right.
I would make sure they do not have, because like the internet when I was a teen, a young child to a teen to when I was in my, when I was about 20. Those are three completely different internets.
Oh, for sure.
They're all totally different from the internet present today. And I'm sure by the time I do have kids, the internet of then won't be the internet of now.
Yeah.
It'll be a completely different internet even at that point.
Metaverse.
So who knows? Metaverse, yeah, possibly. I don't think Metaverse is going to succeed, but
No.
I'm just saying like the cultural attitude will have shifted drastically and we'll be in a different headspace. And that's just how it is. Nothing stays the same. As I said earlier, it only goes forward.
Tubi's always
the
changing.
arrow of time. Yeah, everything's always changing. The arrow of time only goes forward. It never goes back. This is something I remember telling, who was it? It was either Bezo or Super on the Anarchy podcast years ago. I remember saying something to the effect of when you join a thing and you start doing an activity, we get into this habit of believing that how it is when I first started doing it is how it should be.
Yes.
But that's not at all how life is. Life is
100%.
constantly changing.
Yeah.
That is not at all how the world
so
works.
much.
That's what I think. That's the predominant driver of nostalgia. How many people want to go back to their childhood? Well, I think that's because you started out in this world when you were a kid. Your first impressions of the world when you were a kid is, first of all, highly ill-informed and highly, shrunk. You see the world through a very small lens. You don't understand anything. And you think that's how things should be. Because that's your first impression. But when you grow up, you gain more wisdom and experience and all that, and you actually can see the world for what it is. Yeah, things have changed. Technology's maybe gotten better. But that you can't honestly believe that the adults who were the adults reigning in power when you were a little child, that they didn't face the same problems you do. Got to make ends meet, got food on the table, find a job, find love, live, all that. You don't really think that this hasn't been, there have always been political strife among this or that nation. There's always been economic problems. Like, you don't think that's not been around since time immemorial?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're just now stumbling upon it. You're just now being aware of it because you're old enough to actually get it now. But the dance is not new.
You think back to all the fucking awesome ruins in the cute community of 2012 and forget about the 0.5 TPS, the fucking toxic ass culture and general autism.
You forget about the stuff you were unable to even do. For example, in 2012 when I joined, it was 1.1. Or no, it was 1.0. My bad. It was 1.0. Fresh, full release of Minecraft. There weren't even bow enchantments yet. There was no Swift Sneak. There was no Frost Walker. There was no Depth Strider, so swimming was a pain in the ass. There was no mechanical swimming, like in 1.13 and higher. So swimming is a pain in the ass. Enchantments were incredibly hard to come by. There were no god apples. You had no idea what was ahead of you. Your ability to run the game in a somewhat stable manner was almost non-existent. The game crashed every damn 5 minutes because of some bug that Mojang had yet to deal with. Server performance was always pathetically bad. And in 1.0 and in 1.1, one of the biggest changes had yet to happen, and that was the 1.2 height update increase. That's literally half the world that you would not have access to. And you wouldn't know any better.
Yeah. I'm so glad we just had that conversation because I'm literally editing a video talking about all of that shit and going into details. It's so interesting.
It's a big deal. It really is.
Sure, because everyone has that. Like you said, you put it fucking perfectly. Where it's like everyone thinks that how it was when they started should be how it was now. But
all the people who've started playing Minecraft in the last 7 to 10 years after the 1.2 update. I mean, there are a lot of people who have nostalgia for alpha and beta and all that, and sure, fine, have at it. But every time I go back to an old version, even one that's only like 4 years out of date, I'm smacked in the face by all the things that I cannot do.
Yeah.
And that's stuff Mojang has added. Like, the most infuriating thing about old versions is the inability to run reliably. There was no run button before 1.7.
To double tap.
You had to double tap every goddamn time. And we got around that because hack clients had a bindable sprint function. That was a godsend. When I learned about hacking and hack clients, that was the first thing I did, was that I learned I could make a bindable, toggleable sprint and that I could run reliably. That made the game infinitely more playable. In an era where we would have to wait until the end of 2013 for a run button to be viable. Mojang supported run. That's just insanity. That's the first thing you put in a game if you made that today. And no run button. Not until 1.7.
Roasting the glasses, man.
Oh, so much. I mean, I'll admit, I have nostalgia for a lot of things, but even then, I still can't ignore the fact that sometimes progress makes your life just that much better, and you take it for granted. There's so much in the world we take for granted. Holy shit.
Well fucking
like,
said. Yeah.
Yeah, so many Zoomers would die of boredom if they went back to the 90s. Because there's no internet. There's no phones.
There's no
You
Among
have
Us.
only the TV. You only have very, very low scale video games. You only have. You gotta go outside. And
you have to go outside. No. TV players.
And that's just not.
Yeah.
That is not at all what you would expect.
Yeah.
And that's how it is. That's life. You know. And see, the best part, the icing on the cake for all of this is that all of the Zoomers are all not quite yet 20. So they're not, I consider you an adult at about 20, 21, 22, 23, somewhere in there. That's realistically where you're more adultish than not.
Yeah. So you're literally calling me out here. I'm 18. I'm the target of this comparison.
I'm sorry. When you're 18, you're not enough of an adult.
Oh, I
adult
agree.
Yet.
Yeah.
But the funny bit is, okay, and this won't hit you for another 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
Just depends, but it will hit you. You will realize that now, because for now, the Zoomers are the demographic. Everything is aimed at you.
We're the
you
main
are the
characters.
talk of the town.
Yeah.
You're the main characters of the world. Right, exactly. And in 5 to 10 years, you won't be.
Interesting.
And after that, it will be whatever I think they're called Generation Alpha or something. They're the next one. They're the little kids
The alpha
right now who are not even in the double digits yet.
Right.
Those people. And those people will be in 10 years. They'll be in their teens. They'll be the main characters now. They'll be the dumbass teenagers posting on, and it won't be TikTok. It'll be whatever replaces it, because I guarantee you it'll be dead by that point. Something will come along. Because when I was a teen in high school, we worried about MySpace and Facebook. Facebook morphed into something otherworldly. It's no longer anything like what it was when I was a teen. And MySpace dropped off a fucking cliff. What replaced them? Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Okay, well, those are all kind of dying and falling off too, aren't they? Well, TikTok has now replaced them. Okay, well, do you think TikTok's going to be around and be a cultural force in 10 years? No. No. It'll be around as a platform. People will still put stuff on it. But the hip happening generation, the teens who are the trendsetters, the edgy ones, the people who are, doing whatever. See, here's the thing. The Zoomers, for now, you're the rebels. You're the ones who get to sit there and you get to take down the man. You get to be the ones who yell and scream and cry because you're young enough and you're allowed because you're not actually an adult. But at some point, and you won't know when, you won't see it coming, but at some point, you will become your parents. And you will simply go, when the hell did that happen?
Right.
How did this occur? I don't understand. What do you mean I'm not relevant anymore? What's this?
Are you
Sling
projecting,
Dane.
bro?
Well, no. I'm not just projecting. I'm also predicting your future because that is exactly what every generation before you
That's
also
interesting.
encountered.
Yeah.
There is a hilarious, amazing Simpsons skit. It's let me see here, and it'll happen to you. Let me find it.
Frank just said I had this moment looking at my hairline this morning.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I'm sorry, Frank. But like, it's life.
That's low.
Anyway, this clip right here, and it'll happen to you. And so I'll just go ahead and say what Abe Simpson tells his. This is Homer Simpson, by the way. This is him as a teen.
Okay.
Supposedly it's in the 70s. So Homer's singing a hit song that was popular at that time. And Abe walks in the doorway and says, "What the hell are you doing?" And Homer just simply says, "You won't understand, old man." And he's like, "Oh, will I? Okay, well, I used to be with it." Because Homer says, "You're not with it, old man." And he says, "Oh, I used to be with it, all right. Oh, yeah, I was so with it. And then they went and changed what it was. And now what's it is weird and scary to me." And then in the darkness of the doorway, he just simply points at Homer and says, "And it'll happen to you."
Oh, Lord.
Homer, of course, goes, "Oh, no way, old man. No, it'll never happen to me." And then it flashes forward 30 years, and Homer is bald, has kids, and he's singing that same song to himself in the mirror, but he's sad and depressed because he realizes all too well that it has indeed happened to him.
God damn.
So, you can be young. That's not a crime. You can be old. That's not a crime. You better hope you get there, because the only other option is to die young.
I started this interview thinking I'd hear about Pop Bob and Ichus, and now I'm having an existential crisis. Thanks, Jack.
Well, see, these are things
That's
that are
awesome,
already
though.
tackled. I don't really care about this because this is kiddie shit. This isn't even like that special in the grand scheme of things, because literally thousands of generations have passed before us that have again had to basically do, think, and feel the same thing.
Yeah.
This is not unique. The things that you will face that are unique are something that only you'll be able to figure it out, but it'll only affect you. It'll be a personal crisis, and I can't tell you what that'll look like. Only you will figure it out in time. You'll experience whatever you experience in the
Okay.
course of your life.
Well,
But the thing of it is, the value of things like this, yes, it's an existential crisis, but see, here's the thing. You cut your teeth on small problems, small issues. You get yourself used to the psychological shock of what seems like a big, insurmountable problem. And you get used to it little by little. And that when you do encounter these big, earth-shattering, but personal experiences, things that other people may not necessarily be able to give you any advice on because they're just not going through that, or they've never gone through that, and they don't know what you're going through, and they may never know what you're going through. This helps you to get a little bit of grounding and a little bit of stability so that when the hurricane comes through your life, you don't get blown over. A little bit of resistance and a little bit of pain on the front end, but in a manageable amount, can be insurmountably useful on the back end when you are maybe all alone. That's why these things are good. So yeah, you don't want to have the psychological poison of, oh my God, one day I'll be irrelevant. But that there's going to be a lot of your life after that. In fact, the majority of your life will be after that. And you got to live that life. Because as I said, the only other option is to die young.
and then I
obviously
won't
you
be
don't
able
want
to
that.
play 2B.
Right, exactly. You don't want that. So, handle the small things now. Learn to deal with the small bits now so that the bigger problems don't seem so bad later on.
I see.
And so that's the value of seeing pain and suffering like that. There's realistically nothing you can do to change it. You know, this is as much a law of the universe as gravity or ultraviolet radiation or any of that. Like, this is just how things are. But that, it'll be okay.
Life's life.
Yeah, life is life, exactly.
I mean, it's fucking sick. Like, it's the best thing that's ever happened. So
Yeah, who knows?
so far. Okay, well, fucking hell. We're currently at 3 hours and 10 minutes.
Oh, jeez.
We'll do an outro in a minute, but let's just quick fire through these Patreon questions. There's not that many of them, so obviously if you didn't know Didcast is a Patreon, we let them ask questions to the guests because they know in advance who they are. We've only got 4 right now, so this one's from Franknificent. Right? Oh, actually, hold on, let me just timestamp this real quick. Yep. This one's from Franknificent saying, what would your strategy be if you had to fight an angry silverback gorilla in a cage match and no weapons are allowed, just bare fists? No pun intended.
For most animals that are about human size, you go for the eyes. If it's angry. If you have to fight this thing, God, that'd be horrible. First of all, these things are super strong and would snap you like a twig. So you need to realistically stay out of its range of reach, but still also be able to damage it. So maybe try to get it to swing at you, and then if you're quick enough, you can maybe get it in an arm lock or like break its arm. Because its bones, while they are denser than human bones, you can still damage it enough to where it won't be able to like hurt you as much. Basically, you just want to incapacitate it so that it can't damage you. Hopefully you don't have to kill it, just knock it out or something. And if you're really lucky, if you're really good, you can maybe even get it in a chokehold. Then you can make the fucker pass out, and then it's
I don't know about a silverback gorilla in a chokehold.
I'm not saying it's going to be easy, and I'm not saying you would want to do it, but you also don't have a choice. You're in a cage match. So either it fucks you up, and it's not going to go easy on you, because it's a gorilla, it's a monster. It doesn't care about your feelings. But you can humanely, if you're good enough, you can humanely knock it out. Hopefully, again, you don't have to kill it.
Well, once you knocked it out, that's your choice.
Once you knock it out, hopefully that's the end of the fight. But I don't know.
Okay, right. That's interesting answer. That's actually insightful. Okay. This one's coming from Super G Not.
Okay.
Just going to pretense this with naughty words get bleeped out, so don't be scared to say. What is the full name of the lands?
Oh, the lands of Norfs and...
That one, yes, okay. Coming from Omion saying, when is Spacevalk 6 getting released?
Well, currently we face a global climate crisis, and that right there is preventing anybody from launching new shit into space. So, I mean, until we can tackle the global climate change crisis, like I can't help you on Spacevalk 6. Maybe in the year 2020.
We need Greta Thunberg on board to fucking fix the planet.
Greta Thunberg. Yeah, exactly. She might be able to help, but not before 2020.
That's a big red pill. Okay. And the last one coming from Calico, asking, what is your favorite form of? Oh, sorry. What is your favorite marine life form?
Ooh.
There's a few
1.13 has 1.13 actually really genuinely red pilled me on dolphins. Dolphins are really actually fucking cool. They're actually surprisingly useful in Minecraft if you know how to like make use of them. And they're actually really cool. They're really intelligent animals. They're like the 3rd or 4th smartest animal in existence behind humans. And they're just really cute and playful most of the time. Okay. In Minecraft, you can do something really cool with a dolphin that I bet you didn't think about. So as you know, if you swim around a dolphin, it gives you dolphin's grace. Dolphin's grace basically is like you're speed hacking underwater. Okay. It's super fast swimming.
I didn't know this, but yeah.
Unbelievably quick swim speed. So what you can do is you can have an elytra on your back. And have you ever gone into a water pool or a water body in elytra fly mode?
Yep.
And you're sort of like swimming, but you're actually like in elytra fly mode. Okay. You can both be in elytra fly mode and legitimately swim in 1.13.
Oh, you can literally be a dolphin.
And with Dolphin's Grace, you can fly out of water because the elytra catches you. And you can swim so fast that when you crest the surface of the water, you still got all that momentum, and that carries your elytra up. And you can catch like 50 blocks of air without the use of a rocket.
That's sick.
And then, if you're even more of an animal cruelty enthusiast, you can leash one of these fuckers and trail it behind you through the body of water, perpetually refreshing your dolphin's grace.
Oh my
and then
God.
you can crest out over the water with the dolphin on a leash trailing behind you. And if you do it just right, the lead will not snap, and you can make this dolphin fly.
Holy fuck. That's why I'm excited
Hitchhikers-
for fucking 2B out, because like hack client developers will have a fucking like whirl with all this like these mechanics and shit. Like,
Yeah.
there's so
Like
many
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy style flying.
Yeah, that's
The
so
only
fucking
problem
cool.
is if the lead snaps, the way the dolphin is doomed.
Well, I reckon that can be easily circumvented with a client. You can just make it so that you're not
Maybe. I don't
going
know.
fast enough or something. I don't know. Not sure how that works, but yeah. Okay, dolphins then.
yeah.
All right. Okay, that's the Patreon questions, and therefore we're fucking done. Oh wait, do you want to just log back in for the outro?
Oh my
So,
god.
both in frame.
This fucking thing. I've been tapped out doing stuff all day.
No worries. Yeah. So yeah, Jack, it's been a fucking pleasure to have you on. This has been. This has been the longest interview we've done on the
my
channels. That's fucking awesome, and I've genuinely enjoyed basically every second of it. You've dropped some fucking sick red pills, some really cool 2B2T lore, as well as some IRL lore, which I wasn't expecting. Yeah, overall it's been fucking sick. So yeah, anything you want to shout out before we leave?
Oh
YouTube
god. Just check out my YouTube channel. You can post it in the description. I've got we've got a Discord you can join. I've got a TikTok now that I post a lot of my YouTube shorts on. On YouTube Shorts, I've been trying to show off how to make Space Valkyria,
Okay,
but
so if you want some building tutorials.
instead of making it Space Valkyria as it has been known, I'm just using the principles of these designs to make a completely different Space Valkyria, but that it will look like the final product. You know what I mean? Like it's the same design philosophy. I can teach you how to do that if you want to make your own on your own world or something like that. So yeah.
Check out his videos. Cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, as always, boys. I mean, fucking hell. If you made it to the end of this interview, drop a comment letting me know, because that is fucking dedication. That's impressive. 3
good
hours.
on you guys.
Yeah, fucking GG. Welcome
yeah.
to the 1% club. But yeah, boys, feel free to drop a sub. We're trying to hit 1,000 subs. It'll be cool. We've been fucking
favorite and subscribe.
Sorry.
Fuckers.
Yes, do it now.
Favorite, and subscribe.
Exactly. Like favorite. The fuck is a favorite?
Oh my god, that was an old mantra from early days of YouTube where
Oh really?
people were encouraged to favorite in their bookmarks.
Oh my god.
They don't do that anymore, obviously, but
Yeah.
I'm just
Actually, no, fuck you. Everyone bookmark the Digcast in their browser tabs, so it's there
do
forever.
it.
And
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for watching. Thanks, Jack, for coming on, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks or something. So yeah, take care.
okay, yeah.